a crew who have to steal a large number of cars, police who are this close to catching them, and the most elaborate car chases ever to be put on the silver screen. All these can only mean one thing: we're comparing Gone in 60 Seconds on this episode of Retro vs. Remake.
Reggie Delta Parker.
Whoa! And I'm Dan Normal Bulick. Welcome to another episode of Retro vs. Remake. This is the series where we compare films to their remakes. Join us as we answer the question, should this remake exist? Today's films, Gone in 60 Seconds. Starting with the original, which was made in 1974. Starring H.B. Halicki, Marion Busia, Jerry Dugirda, on these names, oh man, Jerry Dugirda, Ronald Halicki, and Marcos Katsikos. I don't know if I'm saying any of these names right. It's alright, I'm editing this. Directed by H.B. Halicki. Written by H.B. Halicki. I should also mention he produced the film as well. So he starred, did all this stuff, and of course he was the stunt guy. Music by his brother, Roland Halicki, and Philip Couchitarian. Almost sounds like a diet.
Yeah.
I'm on the Couchitarian diet. Alright, Gone in 60 Seconds, the 2000 remake, starring Nicolas Cage, Angelina Jolie, Giovanni Ribisi, Delroy Lindo, Timothy Olyphant, Will Patton, Chris Eccleston, I know the doctor, he was a doctor, Chi McBride, Robert Duvall, Vinnie Jones, Master P, and Scott Kahn. Directed by Dominic Sena. Written by Scott and Rosenberg, and music by Trevor Rabin. Alright, Reggie, what is your first experience with either film?
I definitely saw the remake at some point. I think we all did. Gone in 60 Seconds. I'm trying to remember. It definitely wasn't in theaters, but I've certainly seen it a few times. Very familiar with the plot. So I was actually surprised there was an original. Never saw that, and thank goodness for Pluto free TV through Verizon, because I was able to watch it. But this is my first time experiencing the original. I'm very familiar with the remake.
I have never seen either film.
Oh, wow.
That's right. I'm not really a big car film guy, so I've never seen any of the Fast and Furious movies. I've never seen this. And I was just like, oh, if you remember the last episode, I was just going down the list. Oh, Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah.
60 Seconds. Let's do that. So I went in totally fresh, and you'll hear my opinions shortly, for sure. Very, I guess, similar in some spots and very different in some spots.
Yes.
It kind of goes everywhere with both these films. But before we compare them, let's go over this very brief synopsis. Stealing cars! Our protagonist and his crew have made an art form. They're able to steal cars, change VIN serial numbers, and get away with it. But now there's a new job. Steal the most cars they've ever stolen. About 48 or 50, depending on which film you're watching. One of these cars is Eleanor, an ever-elusive white whale. The protagonist and his crew have different methods for stealing cars. Some are very elaborate, and some just breaking in and stealing it. Things seem to be going well, then one car is stolen with something a little extra. Heroin, and lots of it. Upon the crew's discovery, a cop comes by and nearly busts them. But they're able to successfully hide the heroin, and eventually get rid of it. The crew has amassed almost all the cars, all except for Eleanor, of course. The protagonist gets Eleanor, but as he does, the cops are there ready to stop him. A chase ensues. Lots of mayhem and destruction happens during this chase. Ultimately, the protagonist gets away, and each film ends their respective ways. The end. You know, there's not a lot of plot, especially in the original, so I think I did an okay job.
I think you did a great job. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a crew is hired to steal a bunch of cars, and they go about doing that. So, like you said, there's some deviation at some point, but yeah, you got it.
And when it comes to characters, there's really not any one-to-one. I guess the closest thing we have to that is our main characters in each film, so we could maybe start there. And then their motivations kind of lead to the differences in the plot. So we have, in the original, H.B. Halicki as Madrian Pace.
No, I'm Adrian Pace. I'm with Chase Research. I'm here to investigate the accident for the insurance company. Okay. Thank you.
And then we have Nicolas Cage as Randall Memphis Reigns.
Okay, let's run.
So I didn't know where to start with this comparison. I mean, there's definitely different characters and different portrayals, and there's different motivations. So I kind of just started with why we're following this on this journey.
Yeah, I mean, Madrian's motivation is really thin because, like, he has a legit job. Like, he's literally an insurance, like, I don't know, like, investigator or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but, like, he's basically taking this legitimate job and is using it to his advantage to do, like, this dirty thieving, basically. So, you know, it's interesting that he knows, like, the ins and outs of the insurance industry, I guess, and, you know, has concocted this plan to just be able to, like, take wrecked cars and then flip them and steal. It's a whole thing. It actually is maybe a little too elaborate in terms of, like, they really get down to the details of what they're doing. I felt like the Nick Cage one, like, in your synopsis, you had basically, like, Major's just trying to do a job.
Right.
That's his only motivation. Nick Cage is kind of like, he's an ex-thief. He's out of the game. He finally, you know, went straight, and here he is. He's getting pulled in because a family member is in a tough situation. So it's a completely different and I think more kind of personal motivation, and I think it's easier to grasp why Nick Cage wants to do this.
For sure. When you were talking about Mandrian, I was just thinking, like, yeah, he does have this interesting, legitimate job. I think a more interesting story might have been to focus on that transition from going, like, from just, like, this insurance fraud guy.
For that. You gotta...
No, you know, just, like, that decision to go, like, okay, I'm doing this insurance fraud, whatever, and I'm going to use it to commit this crime or something. That would have been, like, what? Interesting motivation. Let's see what's going on there.
That's a good point, because you actually get more different character, but you get more like Atlay's motivation, like how he actually ended up working with Major. You know, a character we'll talk about, but like I have no idea why he started stealing cars. What that's about? Because like he's respected in his normal career. No one's the wiser.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, why is he taking this chance besides just like more money, I guess.
Yeah. Well, like you said, Nicolas Cage's character is a lot more personal. It's not because he is the one that needs to get these cars. It's because he has an idiot brother who fucked up his job.
Who doesn't have an idiot brother?
So he has to go in and, you know, set things right. And he's not only, like, he was good at it. He was, like, the best at it. Yeah, it's like, they talked about, like, statistics, like crime, like, Grand Theft Auto went down like 47% after you left.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
47% of the car thefts in LA.
That means almost half the crimes that were car theft related were because of him.
Were Memphis Reigns. That's really impressive.
No wonder as soon as he's back in town, everyone's like, holy shit, keep an eye on Memphis because crime's about to double.
Causation and correlation. I mean, it's a laughable statistic, but, you know, like, we'll take the journey, right? We'll take the journey with them. But I do like this kind of idea of, I'm a guy who, you know, I guess his father passed away, you know, so, like, his approach to, like, a legitimate life kind of went out the door with that. And his mother felt that, you know, you bring your brother along into his life of crime. So he stopped, which is, you know, kind of honorable to a certain extent. And doesn't matter. His brother still got into the game because once you get in, it's hard to get pulled back out. So it was so much easier to follow why Nicolas Cage was in the movie. I like that we got to see sort of, it's not glamorous that he left the life. Like, he's basically fueling up go-karts. You know, this guy had ambitions to be like maybe a race car driver, a mechanic, something high level, and like just to help his idiot brother, he gave up his crew, his family, his girl, like his life, all this. Is 47% of crime. You know, and you know the other thing is like Nick Cage also references the life isn't all it's cracked up to be as well, which I think is maybe the central theme of this this film.
Is it though? Because I don't get that by the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's true. I know you mentioned you haven't seen the Fast and Furious like films, but the end of the movie feels very much like the end of a Fast and Furious movie. A crew.
I'll bet.
We'll talk about it.
Sure. One thing I'll bring up about Memphis Reigns is because we do have this kind of dynamic with him and his brother. So, and it kind of sticks to it the whole movie. Like his brother's the fuck up.
Yeah.
And Memphis Reigns is the good one. Like everything he does is right. He doesn't make a wrong decision.
Nope.
He's pretty much infallible in this movie. Like
Perfect.
even like when he's about to get busted, he's too savvy to what the cops are doing. He's like, nope, that van was 2 houses over the other night. So we're walking away from this one. And he calls everybody, tells them to walk away. Like
the ladies are dirty. The ladies
the ladies are dirty, man. So he's does everything right. And as protagonist, that can be a little bit boring because he does get in some sticky situations, but he never messes up once. It's all on his brother.
Yeah. Damn, that guy can drive. It's that like begrudging antagonist being like, I don't like him, but damn it, I respect him. It's funny because like with everything we know about like Nick Cage's total career, it's incredible that he was credibly able to portray this like infallible character in the 2000s. It's like, wow. Life moves fast.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it wasn't like Nicolas Cage
right.
by this point. This is before like Wicker Man and all those other movies came out, so we didn't get to see him go full Cage. Like, I saw glimpses of it. I was hoping to get like a real full out Nicolas Cage scene. You didn't really get any, but you can kind of see like what's he doing? Like he's doing something that doesn't really match what he was just doing.
It was funny because I was watching it and I told Priya, "Hey, we're watching Gone in 60 Seconds." She was like, I have no interest. But Priya eventually came down during like the big chase scene, and we were just kind of making fun of like the Cage faces, like he's driving. But like he's actually fun in this movie. Besides what you're saying, like that kind of boring, like he's kind of gonna get out of it aspect. But I thought he, in a movie full of characters,
full of characters.
Like,
so many characters in this movie.
Yes, there are a lot of characters. There's even characters who aren't really characters.
Yeah.
Like, go get me pizza and almost ruin the movie. We'll talk about it.
It almost ruined the movie.
But, like, Nick Cage somehow is a grounding figure.
Yes, I was just going to say that. He's like the grounding force that we're just like, we're able to go on this extravagant ride because he really grounds the film.
he's one of the most normal people in this film. Like, when you're Nick Cage's brother and you're a fuck up, it's like, what is this guy? And by the way, he was fucking up.
Fucking up bad. I mean, we'll talk about him when we talk about the rest of the crew. I just want to go back to Maindrian because we've been talking about Nicolas Cage a lot. Well, again, we don't really know a lot about him. And I think part of that is just because I'm just going to say, it was really filmed weird. Like, the first half, I'm going to say 90% ADR.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
Like, let me just explain how they're, like, how dialogue works in the original film. It's mostly, like, voiceovers of, like, but people are, like, having a conversation, but it's, like, different things happening that aren't related to what they're talking about.
Right.
Get it back to the shop. Taylor Webb may be buying another car to switch over. It's about time you learn the business. I'll stay here and make sure I get all of these.
And then you're lost as like, who's talking?
Right.
And what am I supposed to follow? Am I supposed to follow what I'm seeing, or am I supposed to follow what I'm listening to? I was trying to follow the visuals mostly, so I missed a lot.
You were lost.
I was lost.
Yeah. I like wasn't following the visuals. I was in the exposition, so I had to go back and watch again, like, because halfway through the movie, I was like, I don't know one character in this movie.
Yeah.
Not like no character.
Ally is the only name that I was able to remember.
Like. Going back and watching that first scene, because I'm like, I feel like I'm missing a lot here.
It's like, why did we see him like doing that job in the beginning? Like, I didn't even know that was the same guy because he wears wigs throughout the movie too.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that is him. Okay, like, it took me a while before I realized that was the same guy.
Going back and watching Maindrian, I was like, okay, so he is introduced here, but like you're saying, it's a chop shop in the early part of the film, and they're kind of like switching out the cars and explaining the process.
Right.
And like, at this point, you're not introduced to Adelaide at all. Like you later learn who was speaking, but He's like, yeah, and that's how I got into the crew. It's like, the crew? It's almost like a lot of B-roll with someone just talking over it.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost seems like they were going to put the movie out, and then somebody said to them, there's no plot here, boys.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, bro, we already filmed everything. I don't care. You take something, and you make a plot out of it somehow. So it definitely feels like an afterthought.
Yeah, the plot does feel like an afterthought. This isn't the right word, but what's kind of elegant about the film is that it is like one of those really consumable plots. Here's a list. Here's what you got to do. We kind of meet the Nicaraguan drug dealer. We don't meet anybody really, but like we see someone on a dock with money, so I assume maybe that guy's buying their services. I don't fucking know. Like, get to the cars. That's kind of what this movie's about. But I will say, similar to Nick Cage, Mandarin is a grounding figure at one crucial point in the movie where you had in your synopsis with the heroine. Mm-hmm. Like, I would say that's the closest thing to seeing, like, character development, motivation, like, actually being represented on screen.
And his leadership role, too.
Oh, totally. So, like, I'll give HB that, like, in that scene, he is clearly the leader. I think, though, that, like, what this particular gentleman chose to do with his film, with the writing and producing all that, is he really let the cars do the talking.
I mean, the first credit in the movie is Eleanor.
Yeah.
And you're like, who's Eleanor?
Right.
And then you see, oh, the car.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about the car.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was definitely focused on that. As a stunt driver,
right.
He didn't really focus on the plot or
right.
dialogue too much. You know, he's doing everything. What do you expect the guy to do? You know? He's not going to write Citizen Kane.
Turns out he was right. Hey, he probably cleared more money than Citizen Kane on the front end. I tell you what.
Yeah, I just want to put that out front. So the original movie, budget, $150,000. The return, $40 million. That's insane!
That is crazy, dude.
And like, if you haven't seen the movie, like you watch it too, you're just like, this made $40 million? Like, you could tell it was shot like on. I'm like surprised the budget wasn't like $20,000.
Yeah. It would have been, but I think he like actually messed up a couple cars that he didn't own.
A lot of cars. I think it was like I don't know. It was a lot of cars.
I think there were like 97 cars that were wrecked in the chase.
Just the chase scene.
We'll get to that. That's the star of this film, the cars.
Yeah,
but
the movie should have been called The Chase, not Gone in 60 Seconds, man. It's been Chase for 40 minutes is what they should have called it.
That's what they should have called it. I wish they would Gone in 60 Seconds sometimes.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we will certainly get to that. But, I think HB, the acting and the motivation wasn't like his strong suit. I think that Nick Cage... This is a movie that I think almost requires Nick Cage to be the star of this film, because there's a lot of interesting characters throughout. Nick Cage is like that himself. You're like, okay, this guy can get a little wild, like you mentioned, the Wicker Man and stuff, but he plays it so straight. Mm-hmm. It's so unexpected, and like Nick Cage under the surface could go there, but he just like, well, let's do the job, and I think it kind of fucking works. Yeah. It's weird.
Anything else about these main protagonists? Because I feel like talking about side characters might help.
I think
bring out some more.
You need to talk about the side characters, especially because like Halicki, you're not going to get too much out of him. Cage works, like I mentioned, but in the context of everything going on around him. So,
all right. So we have very different crews in the different films. I'm not sure where to start. I guess the original. One of the few characters in the original I can actually name, and that's Pumpkin, played by Marion Busia, and that's the fiance. I didn't even realize that was his fiance in the film. Yeah, that's his fiance.
Yeah,
and she's in the film, and she does stuff. Again, it's just really confusing because there's a lot of voiceovers happening. She's making a lot of phone calls and
Right.
making things happen so they could steal the cars, but I don't really know what she's doing.
The only time Pumpkin really comes into play, besides like, making phone calls and stuff, is when he's basically like, the job's done, and she's like, it's not, because Eleanor, the car, who I guess is a character as well.
Right. Not insured, because he's a thief, but he's a thief with a code, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it has to be an insured car that he steals from, because if it's not insured, then he can't do his fraud or whatever he does, his magic. So it has to be an insured car, and then the Eleanor he stole was not insured, so he had to go get a new Eleanor that was insured.
So, Pumpkin, one of the few characters that gets, I guess, a moment to really speak in dialogue. It's fine. All right, cool. Help move plot along somewhat. But, to be fair, she's not too far behind, I guess, her one-to-one in this, which would be Angelina Jolie as Sway? Am I?
Sarah Sway Wayland.
I was just a sucker for a redhead.
Has about as much effective screen time as Pumpkin's Chase, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's weird, because, Nicolas Cage is putting together his crew, and then he goes, to Sway, and then she's, giving him the tood, and initially he just says, no, I'm not in.
Right.
And then we're like, okay, so there's a history there, and this is going to be interesting to see how they, reconcile in order to bring her in. But no, she just shows up. It's like, yeah, we'll do it for your brother. No problem. No problem? Well, I thought we had a problem here. It was interesting, but now it's not.
Yeah, it's like, I thought we had a problem when we blew up all those cars outside of your place of work. Yeah, this is a very interesting Angelina. I'm not sure what the character or costume design is here. I don't get why she has, these blonde dreads.
Yeah, she looks like she should be in, the second Matrix movie or something.
I think that, I wanted them to dive into that character a little bit more, because when we first see Sway, she's under the hood of a car, she's doing mechanic work, she's got a mechanic's outfit, she's working the bar, so I would have liked to see, because it's a crew movie, every crew's got skills. This guy hacks, this guy
orders pizza.
yeah, there's a pizza guy. It's other people, kind of like an Oceans type movie, have things to do, and I felt Sway, really the only thing that was there for her to do was to be the love interest, and I guess kind of block Delroy Lindo at one point for half a second. It felt like there was a missed opportunity there with Angelina Jolie's character. I didn't really feel the chemistry of those two characters.
No, not at all. I was watching it with my wife, and she's like, ew. She didn't buy it at all that Angelina Jolie and Nicolas Cage are hooking up. And yeah, it is a shame. Isn't she on the poster?
Yeah.
So I thought, it was going to be pretty much the two of them going into this film.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, it would have been pretty sweet seeing them go back and forth like that. But no, she's just kind of there sometimes. She's mostly there, like we said, kind of as his arm candy.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Totally arm candy, and it's not even logical, because you would think he would split this crew up to do 50 jobs, and there's a lot of them going back and forth in the car together. It's maybe you two.
Yeah, they're hooking up outside of this one house.
Where the throttle linkage. Clutch master cylinder.
We're we can't steal the car now because they can see us in this window. Meanwhile, 10 minutes later, they go to another room with another large window, and then they could steal the car then. Yeah. And plus, we're also on a deadline, so let's try to bang in the car.
At this point, we're under 6 hours.
Yeah.
It's a scene when they're talking, and Sway is reminding him that he basically abandoned her, which apparently he had a really good reason, and it's not until another character that we'll talk about says his reason towards the end of the film. It's oh, why didn't you just tell everybody why he left? But anyway, in that scene where they're going back and forth about why it didn't work out, and you have this other couple that's doing this, they're hooking up, and by proxy, it's I don't know.
Sex is in the air, so they gotta have sex too.
Yeah. It's what's better, boosting cars or sex? Sex while boosting cars.
You mean like this?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
But that's like the most screen time she gets in a scene.
I know. Other than like, I'll put on my like high heels, leather, and pink underwear. I'm like,
By the way, like, yeah, before that scene, she put on the pink lipstick. On that scene, it was gone. Like, it wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, that's
she made a
bad.
big deal about putting on this lipstick, and she was not wearing it.
It's like you have these little glimpses, like when they're in that car. It's like, oh, chick car. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like, check, there's lipstick, and it's like, all right, she knows things, and she never gets a chance to show anything that she knows, and it like with the setup for that character, you would think that they would have advanced, and you basically are now reduced to the same level of pumpkin chase. Like they're kind of occupying similar space.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I don't know either. She's got this wild look. You think she's going to be badass, and she's just ultimately just the love interest.
Yeah.
Kind of badass, I guess, but she thinks she would get like a really cool driving scene. She doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, a chase scene with Sway, like, I don't know, like that would have been cool. Yeah. Maybe it sucks that they put her in that stupid van.
Yeah,
for the Eleanor scene.
She can't fucking get away with that.
Yeah, it's like I feel like maybe if you had her helping more in that chase sequence in a different kind of badass car, that would have been kind of cool. But alas, that didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen. And we got plenty of other crew members to talk about, so let's move on.
Let's move
Back to the original, because this character's name is at least in both movies, even though it's spelled differently. So we have Atley Jackson. Who's played by George Cole in the original, and then we have Atley, spelled L-E-Y instead of L-E-E, in the remake, played by Will Patton.
I guess it wasn't that big a deal for him, though, really. It wasn't that big a sacrifice, leaving everything he'd ever known behind. And 6 years later, ain't life grand? You became a car boost anyway.
Will Patton, this Atley, he works for Raymond Calitri. He's also not. He's helping out Nick Cage's crew.
Yeah, like at first he's working with. It looks like he's just working with the brother. And then we find out he's actually working with Raymond, and then he kind of is working with Nick Cage when he comes in. So yeah, that's why I put in like in my description. He's kind of playing both sides. I guess he's leaning more towards the Nick Cage and his crew.
I think he is. I think that part of his character arc is that when Nick Cage left, he still needed to work, so he got in with this crew and. I mean, honestly, out of everyone in the film, I think he's found a nice little slot for himself in this universe. So it's interesting to see that he's playing both sides like that, but I don't think it translates very well. Like, it's hard to determine when he's encompassing a certain role. Like, towards the end of the film, there's a scene where he's telling part of Calitri's crew, no, it's cool, and then he, like, double-crosses them. And it's hard for me to conceptualize when he's in either role.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is because we see him with Nicolas Cage's crew so often, we kind of forget he's really part of the other crew. So we always just assume he's on Nicolas Cage's side. So when I guess that twist comes where he kind of betrays, Calitri and his crew, it's like, well, yeah, because you're part of Nicolas Cage's crew. I think if they had just played into that a little bit more, had him, be a little bit more antagonistic towards Nicolas Cage and his brother and the rest of their crew. So like when he does have that turn, it's like, oh wow, he actually does care about them. Like 'cause he has a history with them.
Right.
So like he could feel betrayed by Nicolas Cage leaving, go off and do his own thing, and then try to like seem like he's like against them, but ultimately comes around and saves the day.
Yeah, if there were like scenes where maybe when the crew's around, he's like something like bitch slaps his kid or something like that, but then he's feeding them the information, like something like that would have just to make it more legible when he's working for whatever respective crew. But overall, like a pretty good character. He's fine, right? And he helps out throughout the film, saving certain characters and explaining some backstory to others. So like that's fine. And then like looking at Atley Jackson, played by George Cole in the original, you don't quite. I mean, not at all. Like he's squarely in Madrian's crew. He does have that backstory, like I was talking about, where he stole a car. Madrian showed him pictures of him stealing the car, so he had him dead to rights, and now he works in the crew. So what I can say about George Cole's character is probably the most charismatic person in the entire film. He's not doing a lot. But
He's not doing a lot, but I just remember his like
it's the voice. He comes on and like, say, you know, and he's kind of cool. Like he comes across as like I don't know. Like he's because everyone else is so we're doing the job. The fact that he just throws a little bit of flavor on the things, I found him to be a refreshing figure, and I still am trying to figure out what the Hungry Tiger is and why the car he was stealing had a tiger in it.
Yeah, that's a nice memorable scene he had in that movie. Yeah, I don't really remember much about the character, but I just remember that character because I guess they said his name enough times where I remembered it. Like everybody else's name, I couldn't even remember. Even Mandrian, I was just like, is this a name? What are we doing here with this Mandrian thing?
Plus, George Cole kind of, I mean, he explains the plot. When you watch the first part of the film, he's like, so we take the VIN numbers and we put them on these other cars, and then like we're not going to get caught because it's a 5,000 to 1 chance that the insurance guy is going to come looking for that car and see it on the lot. It's confusing. Like it actually feels like too much of a real story. But I think the fact that he helps explain a lot of things, he gets about as much screen time as Halicki does. And when he's on screen, it's kind of fun, you know? I guess because he talks. It's as simple as that. He talks and does action. And he's maybe one of the only people that says anything while things are happening. So, you know, I think I'm glad that character's in the film, even though I still, like you mentioned, I don't know what he did. But it felt like he was doing something, so I like him.
So let's just move on to another character. Going back to the remake, we've been talking about this character a lot. We'll just go to it. The brother, that's Kip Raines, portrayed by Giovanni Ribisi.
You want it? All right.
Hey.
Man, leave those people
Oh
alone,
my
man.
God, sweetie, you're so talented.
What? Hey,
no.
stolen car.
No.
Stolen car.
No. Hey, I love you.
So this is the idiot guy who really is an idiot. Like
complete idiot.
We just see like in the beginning of the film, like the way we're introduced to him, he's running the crew. We didn't realize that at first, but then they're gonna steal a car like in a showroom, which is well lit, and he's like, "Let me get my tools." It's a rock.
Right.
There was a rock through a window. The alarm's going off, and then he steals the car, and then he's still like, I do whatever I want. So he's hitting on some chick in another car, racing a dude. Then the cops pick up on that, and then almost gets arrested for it, and ultimately leads to like all the cars he already stole getting like taken by the police.
Yeah.
So he's like back to square one because he just had this hubris and wanted to do whatever he wanted.
It's insane. You know, like they say, oh, this is a professional crew, right? Because they don't damage the ignition. They don't, you know, the cars are in pristine condition. But this is not a professional crew. The way Kip's running the show is loose and stupid. Like, I do kind of like that, how dumb they are at the beginning of the movie. It's like, oh, I gave myself a stranger. And, you know, like when Patton is like, I feel like I'm in like a schoolyard, you know, like, like I'm talking to children. Because he is. Like, they're a pretty loose crew. And like the fact that their leader, with 38 cars already stolen, about a week or two out, thinks, oh, I know, I'm going to like randomly hit on someone so I can race them in a stolen car. Yeah. And to have your own crew member be like, stolen car? Stolen car? What are you doing? It's like, yeah, man, that's like crazy levels of, like you said, hubris, ego, and just stupidity. I mean, I guess it frames Kip to be unlikable.
Yeah, he's definitely the unlikable brother.
But like, I find it hard to believe that guy's running a real crew.
He is somehow. And it's weird because, you know, there's this set of him being like this fuck up, and then like it kind of just stays there. It doesn't. You think he's gonna do something to like undermine what Nicolas Cage is doing, or just to like put the crew in danger like, later on in the movie, but he never really does. No. And he really just takes like a back seat after that opening. Like once Nicolas Cage is in, like you don't even need to see Giovanni. Like it's weird because he's taken by the criminal lord, the criminal mastermind, our antagonist, and then like he gives him back to his brother. He could have just held him captive the whole time.
That would have been.
It would have been the same.
Yeah.
thing. It would have been the same movie.
True.
'Cause he does so little once Nicolas Cage is in.
I will say that I guess the reason to give him back is to merge these crews. You know.
Yeah, but you could still have him captured and then like the crew like coming forward like we'll do it and then like having to do something to prove themselves.
Yeah, that would have been better. That would be better. It's like, you know, Nick Cage collecting his crew and then Giovanni's just kind of showing up like, hey, here's me and my guys. And Nick Cage's like, get the hell out of here. And I'm like, well, you're going to need them because it's 50 cars. Yeah, I don't know. Like, his crew does not feel like an addition. They feel like a hindrance to anything getting done. And in fact, most of the reason why the plot could fail still revolves around Kip and his crew.
Yeah.
So, I get what you mean, though. Like, you could have had him out of the film because he effectively was Nick Cage.
Well, we had the, I might be jumping ahead here, we had the heroin scene in both films, right? So in the original film, Mandrian, I don't know, who stole the car? I don't exactly remember who stole that car.
So, I don't remember who stole that car.
But somebody in the crew stole the car, and then they're going through the trunk, and then they find all this heroin.
Yeah. I do know, I guess it's not quite a one-to-one, but maybe we should talk about the brother-in-law, Eugene, because he feels kind of kippish in this moment.
Yeah, I guess so. So Eugene Chase, played by Jerry Dugirda, he's the future brother-in-law, I guess you could say. He's just fresh off his wedding. He's not able to go on his honeymoon because he has to run this job with Mandrian, and he's kind of pissy about that. And then when this car full of heroin is discovered, he's like, "Whoa, we're gonna be millionaires!
Right?
Let's sell this heroin." And then Mandrian's like, "Are you kidding me, dude? We can't sell this heroin." So he's like, "We'll talk about it in the morning." He's like, "Yeah, sure." And then Mandrian just goes out and just blows up the car without telling Eugene. So then Eugene finds out about it and he gets pissed. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about antagonists.
Sure.
I guess, I could see how that he's kind of like the brother-in-law, like the brother, which is what I thought Giovanni would do.
Right.
I thought he would be like, "Yo, we need that heroin. We need to sell that instead." But they didn't do anything.
They did nothing.
They didn't do anything.
Nothing.
They just recreated the scene and then nobody like turned.
No. I think because they introduce a consistent antagonist. I mean, he's actually a good guy, but like because Delroy Lindo, who we'll talk about, is so up their ass that like they use it to kind of like further his position of putting screws to the crew.
Mm-hmm.
But like you're right. You would think based off that first film that there would have been a moment where like Kip's like, "Hey, wait, maybe we could like pay him off with this heroin money," something like that.
Right.
You know, and he just we're just gonna like rev up an engine.
Yeah, so like you didn't really need to do that scene, but I guess I see what you mean about like, making Delroy's character just like that much more.
He's just there the whole time.
He's not. Yeah, I know. I think another thing is there are more villains in the remake than there are in the original.
That's true.
Because there wasn't really a defined villain in that original film until this heroin came out.
Right.
So I could see them like straying away from that. It's like already got 3 villains. We don't need to make somebody turn. Yeah. But I just knowing the original and seeing the heroin, we could have done something.
Yeah, we could have. I mean, the remake kind of steps on that scene. Like in the original, the heroin scene works because it again reinforces Mandrian's code, right? Like he's like, "All right, look, this is heroin, but this is not the type of heat that we need. We are insurance scammers. My dad was an insurance scammer. His father was an insurance scammer. So like when the heroin gets involved, he's like, "Look, this is too much. I'm just gonna blow this shit up because I don't want to deal with the heat." And Eugene is, he's pissed. I understand it, but the leader has spoken. In this remake, the heroin scene is so poorly done. I mean, ultimately, there's a little bit of fun that's had in that scene, but like, it's a bad scene. And the main reason is, okay, you've undermined this character who's still a side character. I don't even know if it's worth even bringing him up, but like the guy who gets pizza, I don't even know what he's so not in the movie, it's not even worth talking about it. But like, he steals a car.
Not on the list.
It's not on the list. So what the fuck? Like, what, why? Right? Why? So that Delroy Lindo can come in and see a car that shouldn't be there. It's not worth money. It's like a 73 Lincoln. Maybe that's like a callback to something, you know.
Maybe.
Yeah, could be. The movie came out in 74.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, you know, maybe it's a callback. It's full of heroin. They get heroin on the floor and they like have them rev up the engine to disperse the heroin, which was actually kind of a fun scene. But like, do we need another Delroy Lindo, like, I'm close to the truth scene? Like, I don't know if we do.
Right.
And it's a callback just for the sake of a callback that furthers the plot in no way and actually, in my opinion, undermines all of these characters again, because I know it's the one guy screwing up, but like, it's a major screw up. Like, why is this happening in this film?
Yeah.
Very strange.
It's a scene that feels like it's only there just because it was in the original.
Mhm.
And because we don't have anybody, you know, turn on our protagonist, it does feel like a missed opportunity.
Yeah. I think if there was more pressure, like in the original film, to do something with the heroine, or like Kip really being the one, like, hey, we gotta like move this weight, and like maybe have that be like a fracturing thing where like maybe the crew temporarily splits or something like that. You know, like I don't know, but as film, it's like it does nothing. It's a pointless scene.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, if you've seen the original, be like, hey, the heroin scene, they're doing the thing with the car again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's in the remake. I mean, the only person we didn't really talk about in the crew is just Vinnie Jones, the Sphinx, who doesn't talk.
Yeah.
And then he talks at the end.
Sphinx. I'll send you.
He's like the Silent Bob of the movie.
Yeah.
He only talks when it's like very poetic or poignant or something.
I found that scene to be that was good. That was a nice payoff to have Vinnie Jones do that, and like he's a big intimidating muscle. There's not really an equivalent in the original film of that, and I think like he, out of most of the crew, was sort of expertly used. Like Sphinx, it pays off. Like a lot of these other characters that are in the crew are kind of pointless and just taking up space. Like you got Scott Conn, his Tumblr.
Yeah.
I don't know what he does.
This does his Scott Conn thing where he's just like this comedic guy in the background. It's,
totally.
Yeah, exactly the role he was in Oceans.
It was 100% the Ocean. Then you had like TJ Cross, who like he's chewing up scenery as a mirror man. He's got the sunglasses on all the time. He's a brick house. Like all this random.
Yeah, that was weird.
Random stuff. Chi McBride, who's a good actor, but like he's a Donnie Astrachy, who's like one of the old crew. They bring him back. There's a scene where their car's getting stolen, and he like gets out, punches the guy. He's like, "A gun? Come on, have you no respect for the craft? You need a role model." Like, there's just the crew is comedic relief.
Right.
They're not proficient at anything.
Yeah, they're not necessary for the plot moving forward.
The keys that they get made are dirty. Like everybody in the crew is messing up the plan. And like you said, Vinnie Jones is cool because he does it. He does his job.
You're right.
You need a guy like that.
He's not a liability.
Yeah, but it's just for a crew heist film, I don't think I've ever seen the entire crew be used as comedic relief.
Yeah. And
like not as like they say the one guy can hack the DMV, but like it barely matters, you know? And he gets shot. Right?
Yeah, he gets shot. Yeah, he's kind of the guy that can replace the VIN numbers and make sure that like cars are not known as stolen. And it's like he has that one line, and then he gets shot later, and then these are all useless people.
Useless.
Well, this is pre Ocean's 11, right? Sure. So we don't have that formula, you know. When we did the Italian Job that came out after Oceans, so they knew by then. They didn't know when they did Gone in 60 Seconds. So they're like, what do we do with this guy? Make him funny. What do we do with this guy? Make him funny? What about this one? Make him funny.
Everybody is funny. And even like you said, by the end, Vinnie Jones is also funny.
Yeah.
Because he's not funny. Right? It's funny because he's serious. So like by not being a complete jackass like everybody else in the crew, he's funny. it's weird, but like I do like that. I could identify characters in the film.
Yes.
I thought that was an improvement
Yeah.
from the original.
It's really hard to do that in the original. I guess what you could just say about the remake is we definitely don't need all these characters. No. Like we were just saying, you need Kip there to bring in his crew. Well, you don't really need them. Like you said, all they did was fuck up, and they're very forgettable as soon as we're introduced to them. So they were completely unnecessary, and just there for more laughs, I guess.
Why? Why do we need so many laughs in our heist movie?
Going back to fucking up, Scott Conn was the reason that the cops knew about the keys. So he fucked up too. The whole fucking crew that Kip had was just constantly bringing the heat on them.
The DMV guy kind of brought heat on them because whatever, they were able to kind of backtrack that. Tumblr brought heat on him. TJ Cross didn't really bring heat.
No.
She didn't really, but it doesn't matter. Most of the crew was detrimental to the plot. The guy that's not even in the crew, that's a pizza boy, is bringing the wrong car with heroin in it. Most of them can't stop hitting on random women at the most inopportune times. It's a very, very strange collection of people. But going back, Vinny Jones is phenomenal. He's always good. I like Vinny.
I will say, Chief McBride had a nice little arc with because he's a driving instructor from Amita, and then this woman is just awful at driving. And he's like, sometimes you just gotta know when you don't belong. You do not belong on the road. She's fucking crying, and he's like, all right, just driving somewhere. I'll see you later. Yeah. And then later in the movie, he's at the DMV, and then he sees her getting the test results back. It's like, you got too many answers wrong in the test, and he's like, yeah, that's nothing I can do. That was a funny beat.
It's a funny beat, even the car against someone, but going back to some of these beats, because that is funny. The woman's terrible at driving. She's at the DMV. It's like, you're supposed to speed up when you're being tailed or something like that. It's like, okay, whatever. The you need a role model punch out scene, all this stuff. I do find sometimes I don't know what the movie's trying to be because we got a deadline. We got to do this. We got to get back. Got to save my brother. Got to get back with the girl. Something like that. But also, the dog ate the keys.
Right. And let's follow him around and pick up the poo when we get met up with another random crew. What's that actor's name? He was, oh my god.
God damn it.
I was like, he's in this? Michael Pena.
Yeah.
Michael Pena is in this movie.
Yeah.
For 5 seconds for no reason.
No reason at all, man. No reason at all. He was kind of like a Spanish, cholo, I guess he's in a rival crew.
I guess.
Many crews don't want them in their turn anymore. And I guess when we start talking about the antagonists, we'll get there. But Michael Pena's like, yo, man, I told you were around here. I was going to smoke you, fool. And the dog shits. He's like, he starts digging in for the keys. He's like, yo, man, what kind of pervert? It's a funny, funny line. Great moment. I have no idea why it's in the film.
Yeah. We need more comic relief for the comic relief that we had before, I guess. I don't know.
That's my thing. It's you're just layering on comic relief when okay, the dog ate the keys. First of all, unnecessary. Yeah. All right, I get it. Dog ate the keys. Now you got to get X-Lax. It's okay. Did we then need another, you took the shit joke and you added another shit joke? It's all right.
They doubled down on the shit joke, Reggie. What do you want?
That's why they call it number 2. Hey, there it is. I'll be here all week.
It is a longer movie than the original. Didn't need to be that long. I definitely feel like there could have been a few cuts here and there.
Both films are longer than they need to be.
Certainly. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Nice. So,
anybody else in those crews
that cares? I'm sure. I know we're missing somebody, but
just Michael Pena though, just showing up another random. In this movie.
Who gets their jollies on? Ain't in dog food. All
right, so let's get to our villains. Okay, this is a tough one because talking about the original, because obviously the cops are kind of after Mandrian and his crew, but it's not really a face or a name you can really pin them on. So There is another sort of antagonist that we have, and we mentioned him already. That's the brother-in-law, or the future brother-in-law, the Eugene Chase, the guy who wanted the heroin, and then the heroin was destroyed behind him. So he's real pissed, man.
Mhm.
That was his heroin. That was his ticket out, man. So he calls the cops, and he tells them, like, what's happening. He's like, okay, this car is going to get stolen right here because it's Eleanor that they're going after.
Yeah.
So the cops are right there, and he's the rat. He's the rat of the crew.
The Rat Fink, it's so shitty. He's basically, because he's all beat up because Adrian kind of like pushed him, and then apparently his shirt ripped in pieces. He's like, I'll show you.
Okay, so let me get in this guy's mindset. So Adrian just shows up at this guy's wedding, tells him, you can't go on your honeymoon because we got a fucking job to do. I don't give a fuck what you and your wife have planned. You and your new wife have planned. This is what you're going to do. And then you discover a new opportunity to make more money, and you instantly get that shit upon by the guy in charge. So it's like, well, what the fuck did I do this for? I'm going to fucking take matters in my own hands. So I can see why.
Well, I get that. You know, he was in a volatile position. No one took into account his feelings.
Nobody did, ever. Not even his, like, siblings.
Yeah. At any point. And Adrian roughed him up pretty bad, you know? Like, you're sitting there, you're like, oh, we just got pay dirt. I'm about to be rich. And this guy, and his hair, and his sweet mustache, and his cool glasses, beat you up in front of your friends and family. And, so, you know, maybe you go to the local payphone and you tip off the cops. I understand his anger.
Yeah.
To your point. I understand his anger, and thankfully it happened because it actually made the movie more interesting.
The movie some drive. It gave it some plot. Like, the heroin coming in was like where the movie started to get like, okay, what are we doing with this heroin over here? Oh, they destroyed it. That was stupid. Okay, there's a betrayal over here.
Yeah.
So, you know, it kept things interesting. It kept things moving, which I really appreciated.
It felt like a plot was forming at that point. You know? And, you know, Eugene's out of the movie at that point, but it's okay. We've moved things along. And, you know, we'll talk about it. But from there, plot isn't needed ever again. Ever again.
Well, it might be needed, but they certainly don't use it ever again.
Unnecessary. First of all, I'm a very successful filmmaker. I turned 150,000 into 40 million. He's got the Midas touch.
That's right, man.
The licky hop. You know, jump in your car and drive. That's the only thing a movie needs is cars driving.
Should Eugene Chase get his comeuppance? No, fuck no. We don't give a fuck.
Who's Eugene Chase? You wrote him into the film. What? No, I didn't.
Never in the movie again.
Don't care. Don't care. Steal the cars. Get the 400,000. Which, by the way, we didn't talk about this yet. Since we are talking about villains, do we want to start with... We'll start with the main villain because they throw side villains in later.
Yeah.
They throw side villains in after you throw in the big bad. But in the original film, like we mentioned, there's a Nicaraguan drug lord who's basically offering this crew, Adrian's crew, $400,000 to steal these cars in a set amount of time. In the remake, like we mentioned, Nick Cage has a dipshit brother, Kip, playing the very British Raymond Calitri.
I try to learn your ways, understand your obsessions. But this baseball, it's so bleeding boring, isn't it?
Who, at this point, Kip's an idiot. He got 38 of the 50 cars impounded. But guess what? I still got a deadline. And do I look stupid? Do I look like a stupid person? He does not. Raymond Calitri is a bad person. He's murdered. He's kind of like a fence. He like steals things and gets them to different places. He makes his own woodwork. You know?
Yeah, he carves tables and coffins. Spoilers.
Coffins, chairs. He uses mahogany and nice oaks. But
when he's introduced to Nicolas Cage, it's because he has his brother, Nicolas Cage's brother, in the car, in a car compactor, just getting crushed. Yeah. It's like, you have 30 seconds to make this choice.
You could kill me.
But then my crew will kill you, and your brother will be dead. Or you could run, and then we'll still kill you. Or three, you can work for me.
You do the job, and I'll give you $200,000. This cheap bastard gave him $200 $200,000 less dollars than the original film. With inflation, this is messed up.
Plus 2 more cars.
Yeah, 2 more cars. And I'm going to tell you, the street value of most of those cars has to be, at this point, 50 of those cars in that condition, this is a $2 million job. But here's $200,000 and you get to live. And also, we'll get to it. I'm going to be kind of a dick about the deadline. So I found Raymond Calitri to be kind of the proper amount of menacing. Thought he was scary in that I'm an unhinged sociopath way. Right. He was fun.
Yeah, he was fun, and I think that's my biggest problem is he was fun, but we don't get a lot of him.
Yeah,
again, going back, he shouldn't have given the brother back.
No.
He should have kept him as a hostage or just fuck with him and I don't know. He wasn't there a lot to put the pressure.
Because it is 4 days,
on Memphis. Yeah, I guess it is.
But to your point though, it's only 4 days. Hold the guy for 4 days.
Easily hold the guy for 4 days. Why not? And then just bring the pressure on and I don't know, let his hubris kind of get in the way and have him fuck with Memphis somehow. It's just I need that fucking money. He's you're gonna get it if you get off my dick. I don't care. I don't know. I could have used more of him, but I guess the problem with this movie is we do have other villains, a lot more villains. So,
but you don't need more villains because Raymond Calitri is a good villain.
He is a very good villain, and they kind of pulled the Bane situation in The Dark Knight Rises. It's do you think you know who I work for? He works for somebody, and he can't renege on his job because Nicolas Cage is going to pay him back the money that he gave to the brother. And he's no, it doesn't work like that because these people depend on me, and if they don't get it from me, they're going to get it from somebody else. So it's he's not even the top dog. We didn't need to know that information.
No, we didn't. It's just. You promised me something, you're not doing it? Okay. But now you're introducing his international connections and stuff like that. Because Nick Cage hands him $10,000, this is what you gave my brother. Nah, need those cars. Need them. I find it so interesting that these cruisers, such stickers, 49 out of 50 is pretty good.
Yeah. And he was 12 minutes late with that last car. It's Sorry, Memphis. Gotta kill you and your brother now.
Which kind of puts Raymond Calitri back in that, bad just for bad sake type thing.
Cartoon villainy, pretty much at that point, yeah.
He gets, again, for some reason, he gets some funny scenes with the villain when, he uses the chair to, block him out from trying to, stab him.
He's no, my chair!
It's pretty funny. I like this idea of a lot of his scenes are funny. When Chris Eccleston, he's watching baseball. It's this is bloody boring. What the fuck, man? That was funny. He made a coffin for his brother. It was a nice coffin.
It was really nice.
Really well done. The padding on the inside. So it's cool. He's an eclectic Brit that might stab you. Good villain. This is the stuff villains are made of. But we have to venture into villain land all over the place, man.
Yeah, we got to venture into villain land. We got to stick with this crew, this expanded crew. We got a lot of characters, which I think is the main problem of the remake. There's just so many different characters to focus on. So, when you have a good character like Raymond Calitri, you want to focus on him more, but we don't have opportunity to because we have 20 other characters we got to get through.
But don't you care about the rival gang?
The rival gang. Oh, jeez. I almost forgot, Reggie.
With Johnny B?
Johnny B.
Played by Master P? Popular recording artist. Big time producer, owner of No Limit Records. Master P. A southern-based rapper who's now in Louisiana. Excuse me, Louisiana. It would make more sense if he was in Louisiana where he's from. He's in L.A. Come on, Wally. What are you going to do about these cars? His beef is, I'm getting less business because you guys are better at stealing cars than me. Mm-hmm. That should have been my job. Are you so hung up on $200,000, Johnny B, that you're willing to commit murder?
He's in the movie. Yes. He's in the movie. He's not in the movie very long. He does seem this is this might be like maybe the main foil because okay, we got the big baddie, but maybe that's not really the big baddie. Maybe it's the guy on the street level who's the really big baddie. No, this guy has a dumber crew than fucking Kip's crew.
It's a bad crew.
With fucking just guns and then chasing, trying to shoot at Nick Cage and his brother Kip, and then like ultimately getting like this silly thing happen where like their car gets hooked up to a truck because Kip like rigged it with a chain, and then like Nicolas Cage was awkward with some guy in some coffee shop, truck driver, which felt like Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, that felt very Nick Cage.
Yeah.
That's your big rig? Whoa, this is B12? You know, it's so weird.
Yeah, he was really awkward. But, you know, it worked, though, because you got to be awkward to make the guy want to leave. So it worked into his plan. And then, you know, Master P is with his crew with their guns in the car. And then after the accident happens where their car gets dragged for like 2 feet and destroyed, you know, the cops are instantly on their ass with guns and they all get arrested.
You got permits for those weapons, gentlemen?
And it's like, okay, so they're gone. We saw them in one scene. We had this action chase, attempted murder, and then they're gone.
So Nick Cage catches up with Sway at her bar, and she's like, "No, I'm not joining the crew." And he's outside. Johnny B. fucking whatever. Johnny B. shows up. And he's like, "I heard you was back in town." Okay. Johnny B.'s crew starts beating him up a little bit. Spinks comes out. Kicks a little bit of ass. They blow up like 3 cars. I don't know why all the cars blew up, because Spinks only put like gasoline or whatever in one of the cars. But fine. 3 cars blow up. And you're saying to yourself at this point, boy, Nick Cage is really, you know, he's embarrassed me. So now I'm gonna get in a shootout with him. None of this makes sense. Like Johnny B this is all on Johnny B. Like, I get it, you didn't get the job. But what are you doing now? Are you going to do the job and get the money? Or are you just
wasting resources and time and money he could be making on trying to kill Nicolas Cage?
He lost 4 or 5 vehicles. He's going to do 20 years. He's got like unregistered, like automatic weapons. It's just like, why is this character here? What is his purpose? Like, because Kip's crew has a rival crew? Like, why do I need to know that? You know, he
was only mad once Memphis came back. He wasn't. He didn't even hate Kip's crew because Kip's crew was incompetent.
But Memphis is very proficient at his job. I mean, 47% of them.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to take half the market again, and he doesn't. He's afraid of that.
It's not like Johnny B stepped in and you know, outpaced the market. He's a loser. But whatever. It's a weird cameo too, because the movie is already full of famous people.
Yeah.
So like having, like if we were watching like Superfly again, right? And like Master P showed up, kind of like the way Big Boy showed up in that film. Like, oh, cool. Like it's a light cast. Famous people. It's like Angelina Jolie, Nick Cage, fucking Delroy Lindo.
Robert Duvall. We didn't even talk about Robert Duvall.
No! That's a good point.
Fucking Tom Hagen's in this movie.
And I was watching something earlier. Nicolas Cage is a Coppola.
Yeah.
You got Tom Hagen. Yeah, so whatever. What's the name? The little Sonny. They got scenes.
Khan.
Yeah,
James Caan's son.
Yeah. See,
oh, it's a Godfather. This is Godfather 4.
This is Godfather 4. Like Master P is just in the film too much. He's in the film more than Sway's in the film. He's got more speaking lines than most of the crew, and he's just this really weird side character.
He's literally a side quest. He's like, this guy's annoyed at you. He's going to come at you, but don't worry, he's going to go away. And then nothing he did or said will ever affect ultimately the climax of this film.
No. He's only here to be a minor inconvenience.
Yeah, just a minor waste of time. That's it.
And I mean a waste of time. Because, whatever, like Spinks can fight. All right. But it doesn't matter because Spinks doesn't fight again. Who cares if Spinks is tough? Like, it doesn't matter. So, I don't know. Johnny B is a bad character. Honestly, Michael Pena's character is a better character. Because he at least has the decency to get in and out. You know, that only it was an unnecessary scene, but it was only worth like that one scene. Like Johnny B takes up like 10 to 15 minutes of screen time for what? It's weird. But I think the real villains in this film are the police. All cops are bastards. No, I'm just kidding. How do you feel about this connection? You've got Delroy Lindo as Detective Roland Castleback.
Right.
You got Timothy Olyphant.
Right. Timothy Olyphant's in the movie. We haven't even talked about, just like Robert Duvall. Fresh off of Book of Boba Fett, So,
sure.
So I'm like, oh, Timothy Olyphant's in this? Yeah! Hells yeah! He's fucking badass in Boba Fett, which came out 22 years later after this movie. Again, I'm just going to start with Timothy's character. Another useless character who's
comic relief.
Kind of comic relief. I didn't even really think he was that funny, so
No.
I'm not going to even give him that. No. But he's there and he's trying. He's making his jokes.
Yeah, he's like Delroy Lindo's incompetent partner. Yeah. It's like one time he kind of says his wife's mean and Delroy's like, don't talk about my wife.
Yeah.
And then he said, oh man, Nick Cage can drive. It's like, okay.
Yeah. He's honestly there just so Delroy Lindo can talk.
Yeah.
So he can, his exposition, so he doesn't just say it to himself. So everything he's saying is to somebody, not just like an inner monologue.
Yeah. What's he do?
He doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything. So the cops can quip. I don't know.
The quipping, we're not there yet, but like even that final scene, like towards, like you said, the climax, I thought he was going to do something there. Because he was there. But, we'll talk about that. But like, he's not involved in the movie. He sits in the passenger seat and he's confused about things. Like you said, it's just for Delroy to be like, oh, you noticed that? That's a black light. Black light. Back in the 70s, we used to, see things. It was like, okay. You see that? That's Eleanor. That's the car he wants. It's like, you're right. He's only there to receive information.
So we can receive that information.
Oh, man. Whoa. We're Timothy Olyphant.
Hey, we're all Timothy Olyphant. Hooray.
I will say this, though, man. One of the best characters in this movie, Delroy Lindo.
I mean, he carries a lot of the weight.
He is killing it, man. Ronald Castleback, he's...
Get out of the car, man! Brains!
He's funny. He's intimidating. He's competent. He's still a step behind the crew. And, it's cool. He's got a grudge. He's like... I've had a great career, but I never caught Memphis Reigns. Here's his chance.
Yeah.
That's a great character. You got your main villain, who's a weird, evil British guy. You got a guy who's got a grudge against Memphis Reigns. You're pretty much done right there.
That's it. That's all you need. That's all you need.
We're good.
Because plot twist, one of them's not going to stay an enemy.
Yeah. I wonder which one. I found Delroy Lindo to be the same way I think that Nick Cage kept the crew together. I think Delroy kept this movie together, man. He kept the stakes where they needed to be throughout the film. And without that grounding, performance, I don't know if I'm following the plot. Because, things are just going to be happening with no consequence. And I think he puts consequences into the film, even if he doesn't quite catch the crew in the act.
Yeah, that tension that I was missing from Raymond Calitri's character is there because of Delroy Lindo's character.
Right.
That, there's somebody watching you, there's somebody right behind you, just one step behind you, so you got to keep moving forward because you will get caught if you any mistakes.
Right.
But luckily for the movie, Nicolas Cage's character is he's too smart.
A little too sharp.
Yeah, he's a little bit too sharp. But he's like Jaws in this movie. He's just there. He's like this presence that's always surrounding this dark cloud over the crew, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And he's the sense of urgency that the movie desperately needed. I wish Christopher Eccleston's character did it, but Delroy Lindo did a pretty good job at it.
Yeah. I think because, and I'm realizing this as we're talking, I think because this movie's trying to be so funny, I think that's why Delroy takes this kind of lead antagonist role, because he's both extremely funny, but also like there's nothing funny about what he's doing. He's gonna catch you.
Yeah, you're gonna go to jail for a long time. So, like you said, yeah, very good grounding character because everybody else is cracking jokes except for our hero and our antagonist.
Yeah.
They're driving the story forward.
Yeah.
So they're very important and they're both very good at it.
It's true. It's true. It makes you kind of wish that you focused on the characters that are driving the film because Nick Cage, like I said, I thought he was fine. You know, I thought he was doing some good stuff. We wanted to see more of the love interest. I think that would have been helpful. I think more Calitri, more Delroy, and you're good. And, you know, cut out a lot of the crew or have them just kind of be like checking in, like, yeah, we got this one, we got that one, while Nick Cage is quarterbacking and Delroy's trying to catch him. You know, like there's too much sauce on the, a little too extra.
Yeah, too many cooks in the kitchen for sure. I know we're kind of going in a weird order here, but we did bring up Bobby Duvall.
Yeah.
Should we just
let's talk about
just talk about him a little bit?
You break it, you buy it, my friend.
Bobby Duvall's in the movie. That's all I can tell you, man. Like, he's kind of a mentor figure, but then, like, do we need him? And then, like, as I was saying, let's talk about him. I was like, I don't really know what to say about him because he's just kind of a background character again.
Yeah, I felt there was a missed opportunity because Bobby Duvall, he's gone straight. So instead of a chop shop, now he's like restoring cars.
Oh yeah,
you know, like that's his thing, and it's this weird thing like Nick Cage retired, he's retired, Nick Cage pulled out of retirement. Now he's pulling Bobby Duvall out of retirement. There's a couple of scenes where you see Bobby Duvall, whether it's his wife, girlfriend, or something like that, who's like skeptical. She's looking at Nick Cage, and you can see she's upset that he's getting pulled back into the light. They didn't do anything with it.
No.
I was like, oh, maybe she's gonna like say something here, like, get the hell out of here. You know, we don't need you around. And she's just kind of like, side eye, and nothing happens. And he just kind of slots back into, all right, here's the crew. I'm gonna help you in the crew figure out how to do this. And yeah, I felt like, you know, again, kind of cool that we get to see some of the backstory and, you know, the old crew, but so what? You know, what is Bobby Duvall doing in the film to further the plot?
I couldn't tell you one thing he did after his opening introduction. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, what did Robert Duvall do in this movie?
He kind of helps convince him to let Kip's crew in. That's it. That's it. He's like, well...
So he's the reason we have so many fucking characters.
Yes.
So he should be in the movie, and then we'd have less characters to focus on.
Like, the movie is implying that I'm going to find it less credible that, like, 6 guys can steal 50 cars than, like, 10 guys.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about that at all.
No.
At all. You could have given me Spinks, Chi, Sway, and Nick Cage and said they stole 50 cars. And I'd be like, okay, so maybe instead of a one-night boost, it's a 2-night. Like, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, this one-night boost thing. Well, if you fence them the first night, then they're going to be on to you. So we got to do it the old school way. What are you talking about?
Dude, Reggie is the more exciting way to do it. So you gotta go with it.
I have no real concept of time in this film. I don't know.
You don't? Because they tell us.
I know they keep telling you, but it doesn't matter to me.
How are you not following the plot, Reggie? They tell us how much time is left.
I have no idea throughout most of the film how many cars they sold. Yeah. I have zero idea. When they say we're at 48, I'm like, wow. That's impressive. But like, it wasn't like, I was like, well, it's 6 hours out, and it's 10, now we got 12. Like, there's no progression. They're just stealing cars for movie, and like, I have no idea where they're at until they tell me. So like, it doesn't matter. Like, they're implying like, Del Orlando's so smart, he's gonna know if we do it over 2 nights. Like, it's already 4 days. I'm impressed. You don't need to impress me again. It's a lot of cars in a little bit of time, man. Like, it just, instead of 4 days, which is what we originally told you, it's going to be 1 day. Because they know if they said that at the beginning, I would be like, shut the fuck up. Like, if you would have told me, we got 1 day to steal 50 cars, but you told me you had 4 days, and you did it in 1 day anyway. Rude.
I don't see the problem, Reggie. I was on board with that. I was like, yeah, of course we're gonna do it in one night. It's more exciting that way. No, it's stupid as hell, obviously, but it makes a better movie for sure.
It does.
So I
don't think about it.
I let that one go because
Yeah, me too.
okay. I was like, it's only more interesting because if we have enough time, then there's no sense of urgency.
Right.
It pushes that sense of urgency.
You got 2 months to give me 50 cars.
Yeah, like, all right. I'll be playing
That's
my
what you do, ice
Xbox,
cream?
PlayStation. What is it PlayStation
What
2
am
out
I
yet?
supposed to be doing? Oh yeah.
I think we're nitpicking on these movies
We are.
too much.
We are.
Which, when you think about it, you really shouldn't be thinking about these
That's the
movies
point.
too much.
I think that's what the original does so well. Is like, what are you thinking about?
Yeah,
Look at the car.
yeah. It's funny because like when they go into like in the beginning of the movie, like the explanation of like how they take the VIN numbers and then they take them from the wrecked car and put them in the new car and just like how deep into detail they go with that.
Mhm.
I'm a little lost. I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I'll be able to follow the plot. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're able to follow the plot. Just look at the pretty cars.
Yeah, it'd be like if you're watching like not like Wolf of Wall Street, but a movie like that. It's like, so a Ponzi scheme. Let me tell you how it starts. First, I get this guy, and then I get another. It's like, hey, just do the fraud. You know, you don't have to explain. You know, tax code 87. You know, it's ridiculous. There's moments in that original film too, because you know we talked a lot about characters just now. We're like, there are characters that there's motivations that like come into play that don't make sense. Like when they steal the one car from the guy who they put it back,
who also was in the insurance
right?
game,
and they're just kind of like, hey, there's that dick that we don't like. It's like, I'm who?
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, let's talk about that whole sequence of events. So they're stealing the cars. I think he has an Eleanor.
Yeah, he has like
an Eleanor too. So they steal his Eleanor and he catches them, the guy. So he starts chasing them.
Right.
And then the cops see them, so they start chasing them.
Right.
Ultimately, whoever's driving Eleanor, is it Mandrian?
It might be. It could be. I don't know.
they pretty much put the car back, and then the guy whose car was stolen, who was chasing them, he's the one that he gets arrested.
Right.
And then they bring him back. He's speaking nonsensical things like, "I was gonna walk my dog. Why do you think I didn't steal? My car's stolen." And then he goes back, and his car's right there.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the fuck? And then like the reason they did that was just to fuck with him.
To fuck with him.
That's it.
The guy that you just introduced.
This movie that has like very little plot, spent a lot of time in this whole sequence of events of taking this guy's car, going on a complete chase, bringing it back just to fuck with him.
Right, because we don't like this guy.
Yeah, and we don't know that we don't like this guy until well after the fact.
Right. The scene has already happened.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, well, we did that because we don't like that guy.
Oh, that guy's a dick. Oh, he is? I didn't know that.
Sure.
Show me he's a dick before you steal the car and I'll be on board.
No, still, because it's just a job at that point. I'm like, all right, they stole the car.
Yeah.
Wait, why'd they put it back?
Yeah, like, we're spending a lot of time with this guy and his wife in their house talking about random shit.
It shouldn't work. This movie should have flopped.
Made
but
$40 million.
You know, that's the characters. Did you want to get into?
The action? The main star of both of these films, but more specifically the first one. So there's a lot of cars in both of these films, and of course we have to have a big chase scene. So we have two climaxes, I guess you could say, where our main characters are Mandrian and Memphis. They're both getting into Eleanor, and then ultimately they're caught, so they have to run away or get away from the police.
Sure.
So I'm just gonna put it out in front. So our remake has a chase sequence of about 12 minutes. Our original film has a chase sequence of about 40 minutes.
It's a 2-hour film.
No, it's an hour and a half film.
Really?
Yeah. Almost half the movie is this chase sequence. Yeah.
Wow.
The remake is 2 hours.
Wow.
The original. You watched it on IMDb? Probably watch it with commercials.
Maybe that's what it was, because I watched it on Pluto, because it was like 2 hours. Like, why the hell?
No. I rented it because it was only $2 on Amazon. Hour and a half.
Wow.
Is it?
Yeah, hour and 38 minutes.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must have been the commercials, because like they kept cutting.
No. So almost half the film is this car chase.
I'm sorry. Wow.
Yeah. And
By the way, commercials didn't help. Commercials didn't help.
No, you did those breaks weren't good.
No, they didn't help.
So I think we're gonna start with the original, just because it's
Sure.
just like this thing's still going. This thing's still going. This thing is still going.
In the original, Eugene has turned on the crew. He's upset.
Mm-hmm.
He could have had heroin. Instead, he got an ass
No
whipping.
heroin.
Tells the cops, this is where you go, in front of the hotel, right? It is a scene. I mean, he first gets the car. The cops are like, there was the guy.
Yeah, they're like these cops who we don't even know. Like, I guess they're cops. Like sometimes
Sure.
I couldn't even tell if like, is that a cop or is that one of the crew? It was just so like, I don't know who's who. I did not mean to rhyme. Anyway,
Right.
so yeah, these cops are just like staking out this hotel because they got that tip from Eugene. So they see a suspicious looking character. So this is Madrian. By the way, we didn't even talk about this in the original film. We got wigs, we got fake mustaches.
Oh, yeah.
They all look like they
This-
should be in the Beastie Boys sabotage video.
It's
These
just,
disguises.
it's
It
just
is
sunglasses.
fantastic.
yeah, it does feel a lot like sabotage. It's just sunglasses, wigs, just flopping wigs. Like, here's your wig. They give the black guy a blonde wig. Like, go ahead. Like, who cares, man?
It is fantastic, these wigs. I am so upset. None of them are the remake. Because these
I
are
know.
some good freaking wigs.
The remake does this scene, I guess, to try to mirror that, where Cheese McBride's character was like, oh, like, where are the gloves? And then TJ Cross is like, gloves, man, we in the future, baby.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, here's fake fingerprints that you put in your hands. Just get gloves. just get gloves.
Yeah, we're introduced to these fake fingerprints. He puts Cheese McBride puts them on. He's like, pretty cool. Never referenced again.
No.
Doesn't fucking matter. Nobody would have batted an eye if they were just wearing gloves.
It would have been cool if they had the fingerprints of a rival and then just to fuck with them. They're like, oh, I guess Johnny B's fucking accountant did it. But yeah, the wigs, by the way, are phenomenal. And they come into play in this chase sequence.
Yeah, because they do very much. That's how he gets away. So, anyways, back. So we got Mandrian. He's got the suit on. He got the gloves on. He got the wig and the mustache, and he steals the car in the parking garage.
Yep.
But for some reason, he decides once it's outside with the car alarm going off,
Mm-hmm.
he decides once he's outside in view of everybody,
Yep.
that's when he's going to take some time to turn the car alarm off.
Right.
For some reason, when he
Mhm.
initially boosted the car, see, look
Yep.
at me, boosted, I know the lingo. When he initially boosted that car, he did not decide to turn off that car alarm.
Right.
He thought he could just drive outside. Why did he not turn the car alarm off when it initially went off?
Because the movie's about
Because the movie, we needed to know. The cops needed to know. Because it would have been boring.
Right. It is a preposterous scene.
Yeah.
In some ways, in a good way. In other ways, like it ebbs for 40 minutes. It ebbs and flows. There are times where I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" There's other times like, "Wait a second."
It's exhausting, Reggie. It's 40 minutes. You can't just be like, "Oh my god, keep going here."
I know you got to like.
I even fucking texted him like, "Dude, 40 minutes. Even Sting wouldn't last that fucking long."
It's a tantric shit.
Tantric chase.
It's so interesting how much of a beating this car.
Dude,
takes.
it is hilarious how much it can take and still keep going.
It's crazy. They hit the light pole at one point. You know, the jump, which is like a huge climax, but like watching just crash into this, crash into that.
Into that, yeah.
And they stop. But then he starts again.
Yeah. There's like, I'm going to say maybe 15, 20 minutes into the chase, he ultimately, after destroying many vehicles, lights, landmarks, whatever you can destroy, they destroyed in this movie.
Yeah.
And they got him dead to rights, surrounded by cops.
Yep.
He's putting his hands up, and you're like, okay, chase is over. He's like, nope, I still got my foot on the pedal. He just hits the gas and just goes, man. And you're like, what? We're still going?
Still going.
For like another 20 minutes after that. It's insane.
Still going. Meanwhile, for some reason, there's a bunch of black kids speaking in unintelligible jive.
Yeah, just getting high, talking about bitches all the time.
You know what I'm saying? We gonna do it, man. A lot like T-Day Cross's dialogue. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't get this.
Why are we following these? And they were like in a car. It was called like Billy or something.
Yeah.
So it was really weird, but we focused a lot on them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. I'd say they got just as much screen time as Eugene, man.
Pretty close. And like I thought Dumbo was racist. This shit, I was like, what the fuck are they saying? Damn, so you think we're gonna get caught, dog? You know what I mean? I was like, that wasn't even the language at the time, just son and dog. But like, that's the only thing I was hearing the whole time. It was so weird. The car was smoking. They're like, you think we're gonna make it? And I'm like, I don't know who you are and why I keep seeing you.
Yeah, it just kept coming up. Here they are. It was so weird, but it was like, something's gonna happen, right?
No. The only thing that's going to happen is their car's going to break down, and our protagonist, in his cool sunglasses, is going to say, "See ya, boys." Basically,
Well, he said "see you" to the car. That's why I was like, "What's the name?" I think it was like Billy.
Yeah, I think it was
something with a B. But it's just so bizarre that we kept focusing on these kids. Like, you know, they're smoking and they're talking about all these bitches they're gonna like get with, and like they do get in an accident.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mandrian does like crash into them during his chase, and then like we're still following them for no reason. It's so bizarre.
It's like the start and stop of the chase sequence. You know, like you say, you start in a hotel, you flip a dump truck at one point. That's cool. You know, you crash into this. You crash into that.
Dude, one time there's like a mayor talking or something.
That was the real mayor.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Hold up.
Incredible. Was he Asian?
Yes.
Okay, because I know, not the best portrayal of the black kids in the car, but
that's true.
I will say this movie has a lot of diversity for a movie that came out in 1974. Like, there's a lot of black people in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
There's the Asian mayor. There's Asian people in this movie, too.
I was on tvtropes.org, and the mayor, hold on.
I think console wars are on tvtropes.org.
Nice. Sat Yamamoto played himself, and he's the mayor of the city of Carson. So, like, they had the actual mayor. Did you, like, most of the people, like, because there's another thing that happens throughout this ridiculous chase sequence. There's like a journalist guy who just keeps going to people like, Did you see what happened? Like, a lot of those people were just like regular people.
Yeah.
They use regular people. That's why the budget was so low, as extras. So you had that. You had the journalists throughout being like, the car is still going. People thought that things were really happening. So like when they had, because all the car accidents, people looking like they were in accidents. Regular citizens were like yelling at police, like, why? They weren't police, they were like the actors, like, why are you doing something?
Oh my gosh.
That motorcycle crew that's flipping off the cops, real motorcycle crew. Flipping off the cops. Let me tell you something. This Halicki guy, he's a craftsman.
There's some guerrilla style of filming there where he just gets right in there and just gets real people instead of actors.
Just film the thing that you want to film, which is cars. Work around other things that just make it seem like it's a movie, and that's a movie. And $40 million later, you're the man now, dog.
$40 million. It's insane. That's so funny though.
Sat Yamamoto, the real mayor of Carson City.
Such a diverse cast. I'll applaud. I know it's not the best representation. But you know,
but like Adley's not. Adley's not ridiculous.
He's not talking like jive the whole time.
Yeah.
So
honestly, that car scene was the most disappointing. But because it didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense, and we spent so much time on it. It was just like the longer we spend with these boys, the worse this is getting.
Because like I don't know what you're trying to say there, and because you didn't say anything, it's just like let's not. Because like I would have been better off if they were just like in the car just smoking a joint with like the music playing in the background. But they're like, no. It was like, ugh. My ears feels racy. But
still I'll say it, very diverse film.
I
was very surprised. I was like, man,
yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, wow.
Like we watch movies. We watched so many movies from like back then. It's like, wow, not even one person.
Yeah,
it's like dark here.
Well, like for example, I was working on social media the other day. I was working on like The Thing, and that was the first movie we watched where there were no women. The '84 version of The Thing. This movie's got a lot of women. You know, they may not be main characters most of the time, but like, there's a lot of diversity and things going on in a film that at times doesn't feel like a film. So, good on him. But it all culminates. It all was worth it for that sweet, sweet jump.
So again, it seems like the cops have Mandrian pretty much dead to rights. He's just going like down a road. He's on a bridge. He's not on a bridge. That's the remake.
No.
Okay.
Right.
We'll talk about that because this is a lot cooler. So pretty much, yeah, he doesn't know where to go, and then he sees maybe the way this one car is kind of set up, he can kind of do a jump off of it and pedal to the metal, goes down that hill, goes off that car, makes that jump. Is ultimately able to go to the car wash and get away. But Reggie, you have some information about that jump.
Yeah. I think he's able to get like 20 feet on that jump. They film it in a way you see it from like 3 different angles, slow mo.
Oh yeah.
Like this is the money shot. Quite literally the money shot of the film. This is where you make your $40 million. Halicki, driving the car himself.
Because he was a stunt driver.
Takes it up and over. You can see the car bend and buckle at some point. He compressed 12 bones in his vertebrae. Like he compressed his vertebrae. One of the people that worked with him said that he had a noticeable limp for the rest of his life.
Oh man!
But like,
hey, for the $40 million profit though, it might be worth it. You know?
Yeah, you could be the $6 million man. And you still got 34 left. But like. I love the fact that that he just pushed it.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Like the fact that this paid off. Why this movie versus any other film? And I think this is what did it. The fact that he went in, he wrecked 97 cars. He put his life on the line. They were cool cars too. I mean, like there's some really nice vehicles in this film. Even though it's dated, but like it was good. Little collection that he brought up, and it was fun to see all these different cars. I think the plot is a serviceable. I mean, it's not a plot, but like the premise is it's cool. Here's a list of 50 cars. You want to see 50 cars? You want to watch some like kind of badasses with their wigs and sunglasses steal them?
Yeah.
It kind of worked.
These guys are going to steal these cool looking cars in some cool ways. And ultimately, when they get the last one, they're going to have to get away from the police. And let's see how that plays out.
Yeah. And, 40 minutes, is that too much? Absolutely. But, but it is the longest car chase sequence in film history.
It's got to be.
It is. It just is. It's 40 minutes. That jump is pretty sweet.
Jump. It's funny because I was texting you in the middle of the chase and you had already seen it, and I was just like, yeah, this chase is pretty insane. You're like, oh man, he fractured his back during his vertebrae during the jump. I'm like, the jump? I don't know what that is. And then once I saw it, I was like, oh, I just saw the jump, man.
I saw the jump. It's so cool, and the car just keeps going, and that sequence after the car wash and stuff like that, it might have been before. But when he's sliding around and they wrecking the different cars and stuff like that, 2 of the cars were his. The rest were the dealership's cars, and he they oil slick the ground to make that transition better, and like they just crashed a bunch of cars and he had to buy them.
Oh man, how will he ever get the money for that? Oh wait, the movie made $40 million on a $150,000 budget. Oh man, I am so jealous of that.
I know. When he started sitting on his throne of money, I would make a car out of money. I mean, wow, dude. And
no plot. There's no
plot. Because like here we are trying to explain a 40-minute car. They chase him. And then eventually
chase him. There's some reaction shots, like you said. There looks like there's a part where he's going to stop, but nope, he gets away. It's just insane.
Yeah, pad that with some white people speaking jive. You get into the. I do like the sequence when they finally show up at like that car dealership. He wrecks hell, like destroys all these cars. Eleanor is beat the shit. He's like, well, there's a car wash.
At the car wash.
Spots another Eleanor. Tells the lady who's driving it, hey, the manager wants to. You got to rewash your car. You're a rewash. Some of the best dialogue in the movie. She's like, okay.
Okay. You look like you're on the up and up, sir, with your suit and your gloves and glasses.
Yep. Wait. Sure. So he steals his other car, takes off the wig. The guy who's running the car was like, I don't know why they sent me, but they sent you. Maybe we got to rewash your car. He gets arrested.
He gets arrested because he has the silver hair. He's wearing the suit. He's got exactly the look that Adrian had, and the cops are all over him.
So good.
It's funny too. So just leading up to that though, like, because you do get the cops like, okay, we have a man in his 40s, about 160 pounds, 6 feet, and then like keeps getting like bigger and bigger. Then we have a man who's 180 pounds, 6 feet 5, age 50. I like that part. I thought that was pretty funny.
That was so funny.
Original. But back to the car wash.
Yeah. So like, again, this movie's not trying to be as comedic as the other one, but it's a funny beat. When a woman sees the wreck Eleanor that Major's been driving, she faints. She faints, and the cops pull up, arrest this other guy.
Innocent guy.
Completely innocent. Yeah. He might be able to explain his way out of it. But what was so interesting, because at this point, it does become a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a movie because you're seeing the cops react to this guy. There's a cop that's stopping everyone that's driving along. He's driving in Eleanor. It's not the one that's wrecked.
Right.
But he took the wig off, Major, took his wig off and stuff. And the cop's like, As he's doing that, the other guy gets arrested. They call it in and they say, we got him. We got the suspect. And just as Major's about to drive off, this other cop starts to reach for his fucking...
He goes, wait a minute. And he's like, what? He's like, that place you were asking for. You got to go this way, make a left turn over there, and you'll be good.
That's right. That's right. The directions he asked for, he got him. Major drives off, and you know what? He is $400,000 richer.
But first he runs into a car of young black kids talking jive. And he's, for some reason, just like fixated on them.
Yeah.
Now, I was trying to understand the whole situation. For me, I was trying to interpret it as he liked their car and was thinking about stealing their car too. But he was like, you know what? I think I got away with enough today, so I'll just take off.
I can see that.
That's how I interpreted.
That's pretty.
That
I like that. That's pretty cool.
Because he said, bye, Billy, which I think was the name of the car. Mm-hmm. So he was like, I'm going to let that one go. Yeah. Those boys can keep their car.
We'll set up for the sequel.
We'll talk about that.
I don't know, maybe it's like Stockholm Syndrome. Like I started to like that scene at a certain point.
It's just insane. I'm just going to say this about the original movie. It's insane that you can have so little plot and just have like, just action sequence. Yeah. And that's your whole movie. And then for it to be so successful.
Crazy.
Dude, they made fucking $40 million on this 40-minute, $1 million an action sequence. I mean, come on.
I just love the fact, like, if there was more to it, I'm like, But like, some guy, just kind of borrowed some money from his family and was like, I'm going to make this movie. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, there's no plot here. Nobody's going to watch this.
And he said, you know what? I'm doing it.
He pulled a Tommy Wiseau. If Tommy Wiseau made I mean, obviously, in the after fact, time also made money, but like initially, people went to the movie theaters, like watched this several times.
Yeah.
This was like movie tickets were like what, $1?
Yeah.
Like come on, man.
Yeah.
This is insane.
It's so crazy. I think what makes it work is the premise. The premise is just so easy to follow.
Yeah.
It's 48, what doesn't matter, 50 cars, $40,000. Get them. What do? I got a crew. I got them. I get that. And then while I'm watching it, yo, that car is fucking, that's a cool car.
Right.
That's a great car. There's a tiger in that one for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I was looking at the one, I don't even know what model it was, like that real slick looking like, maybe it was like a Lamborghini. It was crazy. It had like the wheel covers over the wheels. Like, this shit is cool. I was like, that's a sick car.
It was like a future car.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
In like, I don't know, like the 70s, you're kind of still in that range where like, you know, like before the car started getting a little ugly for a little bit, you know, like the 80s wasn't like the best time for vehicles, but like everything kind of looks cool. Like this is all the stuff that now are collector's items,
right?
You know, so it was really, Rolls Royces, like the Baja, the big rig Baja truck they were driving was like, it was a really cool collection of cars. So I think a simple premise, well, the acting and all that, plot, whatever. Simple premise, cool cars, and like he really put his work into the stunt scenes.
Well, obviously, that's where all of his focus went.
Yeah, completely. Like they said, like when they pulled over the dump truck or whatever, that was like cables. There was one scene where like they actually like some guys just like lifted a car and they used like a jump cut basically to like show the car on the side. Okay. So like he did all this random technical stuff. Right. And I think that just like that American love of just a fucking fast, sexy car mixed with like a plot you can kind of understand was enough to make this great, you know, this film.
Put more on that, like that American love of like, look, I have this vision and I'm just gonna stick to my guns and just do it, you know, just gonna get dirty, gritty, but it's gonna pay off, and like, you know, I did this thing that I had a vision of and I was able to pull it off. It's just like, man, good on you, man.
Yeah.
You worked hard and you achieved your goal.
Totally.
The American way.
That's right. I mean, you could obviously point to everything that's wrong with this movie.
Yeah.
And there's a lot.
There's a lot.
The movie is just wrong.
Calling it a movie is wrong.
Right. But somehow they got it.
They got it. I think the success of the film is just like wow, it's incredible like how successful this film was.
I mean, there's movies that are coming out today with marketing, Hollywood budgets, and aren't going to make $40 million. Happens all the time, especially in this pandemic era. So like, you can't quantify how to make something people want to watch sometimes. Like, you know, sometimes it just has to be, it just has to be cool. And this movie, it's cool. It's not a great movie, but it's fucking cool. I was like, wow, this guy, like, The Jump. It's so stupid. And I felt like I was watching, like, The Dukes of Hazzard. I was like, it was great, man. I enjoyed that. So that was what he wanted us to see, a 40-minute car chase. He pulled it off, and a little bit of jive that we probably didn't need, but overall it was a semi-legible car chase that had a pretty nice little tense moment kind of at the end. it made the movie work, I guess.
Yeah. It you know, they didn't tie every loose end. Like we said, the brother-in-law, Eugene, no repercussions for his betrayal. Right. They don't even know who betrayed them. So
that's a good point.
They couldn't even do that. Maybe in the sequel? No. We'll talk about that.
I think, like you said, though, like that American thing of like, just, you had a thing, you got it done. That's what the movie's about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was the 40 minutes of fun in the original film.
It's, again, the balls to be like, you know what? Half the film, it's going to be an action sequence. The same action sequence. Just keeps going.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop.
I'm not gonna
doesn't
lie.
escalate. Doesn't do anything.
Nope.
It just keeps going.
Yep. Crash. Hey, get out of there.
Nope.
Crash. Hey. And I guess just for like the audience, in the original film, Eleanor was a 1973 Ford Mustang. In this film, it's a Shelby GT 500. Carroll Shelby was like an American auto guy. I don't know. He did stuff. Made a famous engine or something like that. Ford used it to race. And I think actually the movie Ford versus Ferrari might be about the... Yeah. Because like Ford was like, we got to beat Ferrari in this big race. And I think Shelby actually made the engine that beat Ferrari. Spoilers, I guess, for a different film. Spoilers for like history.
Well, I don't need to watch that film now.
It's over. Actually, I actually like that movie, but clearly I don't remember what happens. Anyway, Nick Cage gets a car. Delroy has a beat on him. Chase ensues. Like we said, Sway, and one of the things that she gets to do in the movie, kind of blocks Delroy Lindo for like half a second. Yeah. And they do a chase.
So they just leave her and like nobody's gonna arrest her.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Just making sure.
Well, who's got the time? We got bigger fish to fry. Which makes it really easy to be Sway. Sway's just like, all right, I'm out.
I just committed a crime and got away with it.
I feel like this chase is far more legible.
Yeah. It's easier to know, like, just where our protagonist is, where our antagonist is. Like, there are so many different cars in the original film. Yeah. Like, I don't know who's who sometimes. Yeah. Like, is this car even near like where we are, or is this a car far away? It's not shot well.
No, it's not.
The original.
It's not. It's shot cool. It's not shot cool. Exactly. It's not shot well.
Yeah.
But I felt like this sequence did a good job of like scaling.
Right.
When he's trying to escape and like he's in an alleyway at one point, and the dump truck comes out and blocks him, and he has to like reverse out. And Delroy Lindo's actually a pretty good driver in this sequence too. Like I felt that was good. I think there was a good sense of scale when the helicopters came. Because the first movie had helicopters, but they didn't seem to be that important.
I don't even remember the helicopters in the first
movie. Yeah, it's just kind of like, we're looking for the car, basically. This one, like, they have a great scene where, luckily for Nicolas Cage, he stole a Shelby with nitrous in it. And he's pushing like 200 miles per hour.
He able to outrun a helicopter in that car.
Yeah, they were like,
the helicopter's like, yeah, this isn't
like an Apache.
Yeah, we can't chase him. Are you kidding me? That's pretty funny.
That was really cool sequence, man. And like you get all these cool shots of LA. You get this badass car driving around. Delroy Lindo reaction shots, and it's a very competent chase sequence. It starts getting a little crazy. Well, actually, I'll say it started getting crazy when they replicated the jump.
Okay.
And then it got crazier a little bit after that too. But like when they replicated the jump, and Nick Cage is like trying to go across this highway, and there's an accident, so he's just stuck.
Yeah, but
there's a tow truck, but one of those flatbed tow trucks.
There you go.
It's got a little ramp going. Nick Cage says, Delroy Lindo's got him dead to rights. He's like, stop, Memphis. We got you. And he just guns it.
Brains!
Makes this crazy jump over like 12 cars, which by the way, stop.
That I've done in Grand Theft Auto so many times.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He just kind of skids off the back of the the ambulance as he goes across the highway. The car's still intact somehow, and he keeps going. This sequence, once like that happens, I thought Michael Bay was directing at a certain point. They got like,
well, Jerry Bruckheimer was a producer.
Well, there it is.
There you go.
You got gas canisters like flying in the cars. You got like a what's the thing with the the little demolition, the swingy thing. They take a cop car. They basically like throw this wrecking ball basically through the car, and they're like, "Are you okay?" It was like Timmy Olyphant's great line. Are you okay? Well, you just went through a wall. It's a scene that you can follow. It's got crazy heights. Yeah. But it's succinct. It's still 12 minutes, which is pretty long for a chase scene. Anyway, but like I think like the action and scaling felt pretty interesting throughout the film. I think the jump was actually also the big sticking point for this chase scene as well.
Was that practical or it didn't look real?
No, that looked fake as shit.
Yeah, because like the rest of the chase, I'd say looked practical.
Yes, it did.
Except for the jump. The jump, especially like this one shot of the jump, was like, no, not real.
That you couldn't do that jump.
Yeah.
Not with what they were using. I guess like nowadays, because people were talking about. I was reading up on the original jump. Like you would never do a jump the way they did in the '74 film.
Really?
It's completely unsafe. Like, you would either
a lot of vertebrae there.
You would either do like CGI. I guess there's like some like gas propulsion thing that they do sometimes for some of these jumps. But like that guy got, like you said, guerrilla filmmaking. He got down and dirty in the trenches. You would never do that today. It's just bad form. But like that jump was fake as shit. Because like even watching it, like that actually was part of my least favorite part of the film because I was like, oh, this looks bad.
Yeah, it didn't look as good. The original looked better there for that.
Look, you want to jump like 6 cars, fine. You want to jump like 20, like stop it. Yeah, so Nick Cage finally gets down to the docks, and he's 12 minutes too late. So Raymond Calitri, like, sorry, mate, just a bit too late. And Nick Cage's like, fuck that. I showed up. You're gonna give me a hard time over 12 minutes. And at that point, Raymond's going to kill Nicolas Cage. He's going to crush the car. Yeah. The doctor, they didn't leave. They're still at the pier. What's the problem? Like, I get it. You're a bad guy.
I think he kind of said, like, because earlier when they first met, like, Nicolas Cage, like, pulled a gun on him. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever pulled a gun on me. So I think it was, like, a little bit personal, but I don't know if they did the best explanation of showing that.
It's kind of like, speaking of like The Godfather, a man like me cannot look ridiculous. But whatever. Raymond Calitri's got him. Will Patton shows up. He's playing both sides. Yeah, he fakes out the crew, and Kip shows up. Mm-hmm. Kip's helping him.
Kip's actually doing something useful.
Yup. So Kip did something useful to help save Nick Cage. Nick Cage get into a knife fight with Raymond Calitri. Delroy Lindo and Timothy Olyphant finally show up, and now you've got the sequence where they're like, whatever, they're in the shipyard. Raymond Calitri's shooting at him. He's shooting at the cops. Raymond Calitri is face to face with Delroy Lindo, and he's like, "I'm gonna shoot you." Delroy's like, "I'm a cop. If you do this, your life's over." And he said, "I don't know about that. If I kill you, your life's over." Great line.
It's pretty good.
Great line. And then Nick Cage slow jumps at Raymond Calitri. Raymond Calitri falls off the little, like, the plank or whatever the hell they're standing on. He gets a RoboCop death. And lands on the very casket.
What?
That he made.
What?
Whoa.
That he was going to originally put Nicolas Cage's brother in?
What?
Wow.
Holy hell. And now Delroy Lindo's got a moral dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
See, I got you dead to rights, but you also saved my life. Get out of here, Reigns, before I change my mind.
Ultimately, he also said, like, I know you did it for, like, no reasons.
Brotherly love, man.
Yeah. It's like, really?
There's nothing like a brother's love. It's like, it's not.
This is the guy you've been chasing, like, the one guy in your career.
He's his escort.
Yeah. And you're gonna let him go because you understand like a brother's got to do what a brother's got to do.
Well, he did save his life.
Yeah, I guess there's that.
He slow jumped and stopped Raymond Cleacher from shooting him. And then I know you haven't really watched these films, but the end of this movie, after that, because we don't really see Delroy after this. In my head, I thought I remember him like coming back to the crew and being like,
having a beer with them or something.
Something like that. That doesn't happen. Seemed appropriate.
We all did it equally, all of us.
Yeah, I am Spartacus. I'm Memphis Reigns. Yeah, for some reason I thought he was like, yeah, but I'm keeping eyes on you guys. That doesn't happen. But basically, you get a crew grilling and drinking, in this case, Pepsi, product placement, instead of beers. But that's literally how almost every Fast and Furious movie ends. It's this ragtag group of people grilling and talking about family. That's Fast and Furious. So, yeah, it was kind of cool. People were still mad horny about Angelina Jolie in the crew, and
yeah, everybody's like, oh man, you're a lucky guy, like some random dude next to her.
Yeah, like
she just like touches on his shoulder or something.
Yeah, like Nick Cage was just making out. Right?
Yeah.
Clearly,
they're together.
You guys know the dynamic of the crew. He was like, oh man, he's so lucky, like because Angelina Jolie like licked his finger.
I don't know.
Yeah, weird. In the Sphinx, he talks. He's got a really. It's not a great monologue, but it's great in the context that he never spoke.
I think he's like quoting poetry or like a play or something.
It's like ultimately we feel sorry for him, but really we should feel sorry for us. Fine, you know, kind of cool. You know, nice touch. Completely pointless. Kip gets Memphis Reigns.
Yeah, nice new little. Beat up muscle car.
Get some of the Shelby GT500. It's beat up, but like, you know, this crew knows how to.
They can work on it together.
Wow. And you know, that's that. That's the end of Gone in 60 Seconds.
A lot went on in that ending, for sure. I do appreciate the consolidation of the action sequence into 12 minutes as opposed to 40. Like you said, a lot easier to follow. A lot easier to just understand like where I am and like who I'm following.
Who matters?
especially like who am I supposed to like be watching here? Because like you said, in that original film, there's so many different cops after him.
Yeah.
Like there's not like one main cop who's like that Delroy. Just making him that focus of like this is the cop who wants to get him, so we're gonna focus on him a lot. So that was greatly appreciated.
Thank God for Delroy.
Yeah.
I mean he's a major factor.
Yeah. And what makes it just that whole sequence work. You know, good action, very practical effecty until we get to the jump.
Yeah.
But, you know, because it is like 2000, you know, like most of it is just like, okay, they really did that stuff. So that's really cool.
It's a nice homage, really, you know, like the way that they shot the sequence. I think that they were very respectful of what the original did, and I think that they tried to capture some of that in the sequence. I mean, look, it's 2000 actually.
Right, so 26 years later after.
You know, and I think they translated that feeling of that first racing sequence into a modern package. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. So, are there any other points, any other characters, any other plot points in general that you want to talk about, Reggie?
No. I think music-wise, from licensing and stuff like that, what we watched, we probably didn't even get the original like music. From what I understand, not that it matters. Like that '70s film felt like that generic, like
yeah. They might as well just put like the soundtrack of Superfly on there. Like,
basically,
it's fine. It doesn't matter.
And then, you know, the new movie kind of used like some like modern.
Yeah,
music.
I remember I heard some like that.
I think Obi was in the intro.
2000 techno going on and some of those things. Yeah.
I guess it's stupid, which is probably why we didn't talk about it. But like the intro with the backstory exposition of like the Photoshop of like Nick Cage And the mechanic stuff, like as you're watching the intro, you see like racing stuff.
You see him as a young kid, like just him growing up in general.
Which again, I appreciate the fact that like they were trying to give me background for these characters because I felt like that was sorely missing in the original. So not the most original or interesting sequence, but you know.
No, it gave me a sense of like this family tradition. Like this is very family kind of based at the center, which it ultimately is because he's doing it to save his brother's life. And you know, like you said, the mom does know what they do,
right?
So she's not like completely in the dark. You know, unfortunately, we don't get to see the mom other than that. But I thought that was pretty interesting to have the mom, just know what her sons are about.
Because you know, Nick Cage made a promise he was never going to do this again, and she was like, "Go do it." Because you got to save your brother. So that was nice. Yeah. The family element.
Yeah, not too bad.
Again, Fast and Furious trope. Family. Yeah. So where are we?
So we're at the verdicts, Reggie.
All right.
Here we go. We talked a lot about these films. We ripped on both of these films quite a bit. So, Reggie, should the remake, Gone in 60 Seconds, exist?
So, the original film, like we talked about, is... It's hard to say. Like it's not a great movie, right? It's there's some technical feats, and probably not even that many like actually technical feats. I just think the fact that somebody took a risk, made this crazy thing, did it basically themselves, and it worked. I think that's a great story. I think it's hard to watch the film as a modern audience person, right? But that chase sequence it's overlong, but it does kind of like bring it back and show you why this was a successful film. The remake wisely chooses to flesh out characters. It's a more character-driven story. Probably too much comic relief. Like everyone's trying to be funny all the time. It's unnecessary a lot of times, but I think that Nick Cage's performance, Angelina Jolie not so much, but like Delroy Lindo, Chris Eccleston's Raymond Calitri, like I really liked the Calitri, Lindo, Nick Cage like triangle. I felt like that was when the movie was at its strongest. I felt the crew in this remake was not great. There was a lot of good names, but they didn't give them a lot to do other than to try to be funny. But the action was solid. It was infuriating at different times in the movie where people were making terrible, terrible choices that weren't consistent with like a professional crew. Because you got Delroy being like, these guys are professionals, and I'm watching these guys make dick and ball jokes and like race to like impress random blonde women. Like that stuff was weak. But overall, I think Gone in 60 Seconds benefits from having actually like decent premise. You got a short amount of time to steal this many cars. Really easy to follow. So you flesh out the crew. You made the action more concise. And that family element made me understand why I was watching what I was watching. So it's not a terribly good movie, but it is like a solid film, good cast, good action. I think Gone in 60 Seconds, the remake, should exist because it gives a modern audience a chance to enjoy a film that I don't think they would be able to digest because the original is not great. It's not. It's bad, but it's history. So it works. So Gone in 60 Seconds, the remake should exist because it takes a sweet premise and actually like makes it into a movie. So like that's an upgrade and worth existing.
Yeah. When I was watching the original Gone in 60 Seconds, man, oh man, did I have trouble focusing on that. Because, like I said, the beginning of that movie, when they're having plot or whatever, like I said, it's ADR. We're not even seeing the characters talking. I don't know what I'm supposed to be paying attention to. I can't follow shit. I couldn't follow anything until the heroine showed up.
Yeah.
Then I was like, okay, things are getting interesting. And then the 40-minute long fucking chase, I was just like, this is insane. Like, I can't believe they did this. And then I found out the movie was like the biggest box office hit like fucking ever for like what the budget was versus what it actually made. And I'm just like, this is what a story. This is incredible. And so all I really needed from that remake was just, let's make it a comprehensible plot. Let's just make it in a way so I could actually follow this. And, that's all they really needed to do. The bar was very low.
Super low.
And it pretty much did that. And, is Gone in 60 Seconds one of my favorite movies ever? No. Is it, even good? Not really. I don't really like these types of movies. But, man, it's just so bizarre. That original, it's just, it's like a car crash. I just have to look at it. I just can't look away.
Yeah.
They made this, and not only did they make this, they made that much money off of it? This? You're telling me this? In 1974, people wanted this. It's just I can't wrap my head around
For
it.
the people they want.
It's insane. So I think, kind of like what you said, I think the remake should absolutely exist just so a modern audience can appreciate that original film more. Because without the remake, there's no way I would get that original film and be I like that. Just what they did and how they chose to do it. And the fact that it was so successful, I can't get over that $40 billion profit. It's insane to me. And I would never have watched it if that remake didn't exist. Yeah. And yeah, if you want a comprehensive version of what they did in that original film, absolutely watch the remake. They didn't do anything amazing by any standards. Action-wise, it looks great. Too many characters, way too many characters. Too many characters I don't give a shit about. And Angelina's on the poster. I don't know why she's on the poster. She's pretty useless in the movie. Should have made her a main character. But overall, Nicolas Cage does a good job, like you said. Delroy, Chris Eccleston, good villains. I wish we had a little bit more Chris, but Delroy does a very good job on his own. Everybody else, take him or leave him. Don't really matter. But it's not my genre, it's not my film, I don't really like the original, but I can appreciate it because of this remake. So it's one of the rare cases the remake makes me appreciate the original more, and because of that, I think it should exist.
Yeah. I think that when movies can pull this off, now again, like you said, the bar was super low. But when a remake can make the original better, that's a rare feat. And I think it pulls it off here. For instance, something we did recently was Bedtime Story. I think seeing Dirty Rotten Scoundrels gave me more of an appreciation for what Bedtime Story did. You know, and I felt like that happened here. Again, not too hard to do, but they did it. And look, a lot of people like Gone in 60 Seconds. I tend to like it more than you do, but it also I did listen to my spouse groan when I said I'm watching Gone in 60 Seconds. So I get that sentiment too. But look, it's fine. It's fine. But in this case, fine is what was needed, and it pulls it off.
I'll say the difference between this and Bedtime Stories, the original Bedtime Story is actually really good.
It's really good.
And then Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, you're well, that was already good, so I don't need to get any more. The thing with Gone in 60 Seconds is okay, the original's not really good. Right. So we gotta make it in a way that's a lot more palatable, especially for a modern day movie audience. And yeah, they absolutely were able to do that. Are there stupid characters and way too many characters? Yes, of course. And you got way too many stars, and Michael Peña's in there. It's oh, okay, it's for no reason. But it works because when you look at that original source material, just what they had to work with, they got that out of that. Okay, I'll take it. So it's a case of a bad film just getting a little bit of a boost from its remake. So I'll take that.
And you know what? It's close, but I'm giving the MVP to Delroy Lindo because he is so much of the movie.
He has carried so much of that.
Kind of most of the movie. Kalichi's great, and I wonder if over time, would the mustache twirling work as much as it did? Maybe, maybe not. But I mean, Nick Cage does what he needs to do.
Right.
Delroy, I think, helps take it home, and Kalichi just have that little gravy that you get on top.
I would have preferred they focus on Kalichi's character, but because they didn't, because Delroy was a fine substitute.
He's the most interesting character.
Yeah.
You know, it's I don't understand you fucking Yanks. And
you could focus on that. Make a lot more weird American things that you don't understand. Go for that.
Yeah, I think if you had sequences, because it's all one day. I think if you had more they kind of check in sporadically with him.
Right.
Here's 20 cars. 20 ain't 50, boys. Right. You know, I think some of that stuff would have worked, but whatever. Yeah. It's fine, but I'm up for you. I wish we saw more Kalichi. He was great.
Yeah. Ultimately, yeah, that's kind of what we thought about the films. It's weird because that original film, not good at all, but like we said, man, Haliki, man, but that Midas touch, and I'm gonna go there now. He made so much money off that original film, and then ultimately he was like, yeah, I'm gonna make a sequel, and fuck, man, fate was not kind to Haliki, man, because if you don't know, that's how he died. He died filming an action sequence in that sequel, and he died on set. So unfortunately,
that's a shame.
Yeah, I know, man. Gone in 60 Seconds too never happened because he died filming it.
I mean,
it's such a bummer.
Look, but he pushed it already. I mean,
I know. Like, how are you gonna push it any further?
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Like you're out here compressing vertebrae.
Yeah.
It's sad to hear that. But like watching this film, the fact that he got out of this one alive, is
very good.
Pretty, insane. But hey, look, rest in peace to Haliki. He did something that, like, I think, like you mentioned, is kind of the American dream, man. Like, this guy took a fucking big swing, nailed it, and like you got Nick Cage doing movies based off of the stuff he wrote in the 70s. And you're like not nobody, but you know what I mean. Like you're some guy, some guy. Now everyone knows Gone in 60 Seconds. Everyone, They might not know there's an original, but they know Gone in 60 Seconds.
No, it's a wild ride, and it's like that guy. His whole career is like based around like this Gone in 60 Seconds. Like he was a stunt driver, and then he decides to make this film himself. He probably ignored everybody who told him like nobody's gonna want to watch this because it's just a car chase for like half the movie.
Love to see the Tarantino Once Upon a Time Hollywood about this guy.
Yes,
that would be sick. Quentin Tarantino, please make a biopic about Halicki, because that must be the craziest story that no one knows about.
Yeah. And it sucks that he died filming the sequel, but it's also like kind of makes sense. Like his whole career was like based around this film for it to like kind of end, his life to end because of like this film. It's just like chilling. It's haunting.
Huh. Didn't think about that.
It's really bizarre. But when I watched the original film, I guess it was added way after because he died in 1989. But there was like a nice dedication to him at the end of the film I watched. Cool. I don't know if it was at the end of yours. So hats off, HB Halicki. Am I saying?
Yeah, no, you're HB Toby Halicki.
Right. Yeah, HB Toby Halicki. I know we ripped on your film, but good on you for doing what you did. Stick to your guns and. Congratulations for all the success you had.
Yeah,
that was incredible.
I mean, look, I cannot overstate how influential this film was for this genre.
Oh, of course.
It's insane. This dude literally revolutionized the car chase genre. Some guy. Wrap your head around that, man. It's crazy, man. Fucking kudos, man. Good job. Not a great film, but awesome car chases, and you made it so that when we're watching like the Italian Job, we're going to 60 Seconds now. Like
even like you said, Fast Furious, even like Driver,
Baby Driver, Mission Impossible's got some good sequences. The Transporter. I mean, like, dude, you did it. You made you figured out how to like show not just the driving, but like the crashes and the scale, and to make it look big and awesome, man. It's a good sequence.
No blueprint before he did it, so he laid it out for everybody else to do.
I mean, the idea that you were taking cables and pulling over cars, you're jumping over hoods and stuff like that's. Who thinks like that?
Yeah.
Stunt driver.
Stunt driver. This should be a whole movie. What do you mean, just the stunts? Yeah. Oh, shut up, Aliki. It'll never happen. Not in our lifetime.
Yeah, I'm a cigar chomping Hollywood exec. Get out of my office. I'll show you.
I'll make it myself. Even if I have to write it, direct it, produce it, and star in it. Get out of this. I want to see that Tarantino film.
Oh, man. Fucking good on him, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
That's all. Like, again, which is why the remake should exist, because we would never have had this conversation if that crazy Nick Cage movie didn't exist. Yeah. So, awesome.
Absolutely. So, that's what we thought about the films. Did you agree with us? Did you disagree with us? Did we miss anything? Absolutely let us know in the comments. Reggie, I picked this one. You're up. What do we got for next time?
Well, this was an easy choice for me. A film recently came out in theaters based off of an author who wrote some things that we did comparison about movies about her works before. Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile. It's recently been remade. You may recall, if you're a real fan of Retro vs. Remake, that we did the Hercule Poirot story, Murder on the Orient Express. If you haven't seen that one, go back and watch it. That's actually one of my favorite episodes that we've done. They have done, basically, it's not a sequel, but it
is essentially a sequel to that universe that
correct.
Kenneth Branagh created.
Right, and I do believe that we're going to end up with a sequel to the original movie as well, kind of in the sense that I think it's the same actor. I don't know offhand just yet. Could be wrong. I don't know. But like, anyway, long story short, we're gonna watch Death on the Nile because I think it's gonna be interesting to revisit the Kenneth Branagh universe and whatever the original film has for us. I'm interested. I recently read the book, so I could experience these films. So
I read the books a couple years ago.
Okay, so nice. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to say about the books, and that's the next episode, Death on the Nile.
Awesome. So check out Death on the Nile for the next time. All right, that pretty much does it for today's episode. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're on iTunes, if you could leave us a review or 5-star, that will greatly help us grow this series. And if you're on YouTube, of course, if you leave a comment or a like or just subscribe, we greatly appreciate that as well.
Check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Retro vs. Remake. I'm working on bringing this up to date. I did the thing the other day, but there's more films that I need to get up there because there's been quite a few since then. But just so we're keeping up with the social media. Appreciate any support. Follow us, comment, any suggestions you have for films.
Yeah,
we're all about it.
Definitely suggestions. Awesome.
With that being said, I'm Reggie Delta Parker,
and I'm Dan Regular Bulick. This is another episode of Retro vs. Remake.